space today here with the Confident Speaking community. And I am your host, Tim Brown, and I hope that you are having a fantastic day so far, or that it has been more than you expected in a great way, I would say. Because sometimes we get more than we expect, and it isn't what we really wanted to have. So I'm hoping it was in a great way. And I just want to thank you. And as we get into this conversation today, there are some of you that may be here for the first time, and I want to welcome you and just invite you to know that here in the Confident Speaking community, our goal is to help you become more confident and effective communicators. I consider this a community of learners because we're all here to grow. Even myself, as the host, I'm still trying to grow. I'm still practicing and trying to refine my abilities and my skills so that I can be better than I was before. Because if we ever feel like we've arrived and that there's nothing else for us to learn, we're probably going to be in trouble because the world constantly evolves and we have to be able to evolve with it to be able to stay ahead of the curve, I would like to say. So here in this space, we focus on the 4 Ps, which are pitch, pace, power, and pause. We like the 4 Ps because they help us improve our dynamics in our communication and the way that we present ourselves so that it's more appealing when people actually listen to us. Not even the content itself, but the delivery of the content can shape the way someone perceives or embraces what it is that you have to say. So the 4 Ps are important for us, and we practice that intentionally. Conciseness. It's also another pillar of what we focus on here in the Confident Speaking community because we want you to develop the ability to understand how to refine your thoughts, how to know how to say what's most important, because you have a lot of important things to say, but what's most important in that moment, because you won't always have a lot of time to say everything that you want to say. And besides, a lot of people don't want to hear everything that you have to say when we get down to the reality of it, especially in this microwave society that we're in. People's attention span is very short, even shorter than it once was. So we want to develop that ability to be concise. And we're intentional about that. And in order for us to help remain aware and focused on that, we actually use a timer in the space. We don't use it every space, but I'm gonna use it more, a little bit more, just to make sure we keep that in the front of our thinking and our thought process. And for people that have been here for a while, they get 2 minutes to share their thoughts. And then there's going to be a chimer that sounds like that for those of you who haven't heard it before. I don't want the chimer to alarm you because there's 2 chimes that happen. There's one at 1 minute, 30 seconds, which means you have 30 seconds to kind of wrap up your thoughts. We want you to have an opportunity to finish out what it is you're thinking about. And then there's a second chime at the end of the 2 minutes, which means it's time for us to move forward to the next person and keep going. Because there can be a lot of people that want to speak. And what this conciseness does, not only does it demonstrate your thoughtfulness, it also opens the door for more people to participate in what it is that we're trying to do. Because our goal here is to practice. Practice makes you better. And the more opportunities people get to share and speak, the more opportunities they get to grow and improve themselves and build the confidence, because confidence grows as a result of a track record of successes. So believe it or not, every time you get on the mic in this space or any space, whenever you open your mouth, it's an opportunity for you to refine your skills and abilities, but you have to be intentional about that. And that's what we do here in this space. And we also focus on expanding our comfort zone and learning to think on your feet. So we do challenges in here, random topic challenges where you don't know what to expect. And we give you 60 seconds to give a response to that challenge. And those tend to be pretty fun because we want it to be informative, but we also want you to enjoy yourself at the same time. I firmly believe that learning begins with desire, and then there has to be an element of enjoyment in order for someone to truly be able to learn and hold on to the things that they learned. And that's what we try to provide in this space as much as possible. So with that said, I want to go ahead and say hello to Mama B. How are you, Mama B? And what you all can do, Mama B and Loan, will you introduce yourselves or speak let everyone know what you do, your space that you host as well in your introduction and greeting to everyone.
Hello, everyone. I am fantastic. Yes, I've learned to be fantastic, and when I come on here and introduce myself or say how I am. So thank you, Tim Brown. I was thinking of who likes to say Mr. Brown, Mr. Brown. I forgot her name, but I love when they say Mr. Brown. So my name is Mama B. And I am here building on this platform, building a village for parents. It's called the Intuitive Parenting Village because I'm a single mom that raised a child without a village in a country and a society I did not grow up in. And so I'm just, helping build a village for other parents. And is powered by the mama bees, MBEEs. Yes, we are all mama bees. And the mama part is not a gender thing. The mama part is the nurturing aspect of parenting. So everyone is welcome. Free parent, during parents, and those ahead, like on the other side of parenting, and that is me. So thank you, Tim, for this space. I am getting better in my own communication, in my own spaces, because of this confident speaking community. And so I love the topic maximizing the leader in you. Oh my God, I love that, Tim. So thank you. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you. I had to be concise and trying. I'm working on that. Bye.
Thank you for that, Mama B. So, Loan, how are you?
Hi, Jim. Hi, Mama B. Hi, everyone. I'm fine. Thank you. Thank you for inviting me to be co-host. So, today is very honor, I could say. And yeah, my name is Luan, and I'm life coach for women. Based on my experience, I want to share them and then to empower women to deploy and to develop their potential because we are strong and we may face of lots of challenge in our life, and so we need to be strong as well. And so that's why I want to empower women to how to face to the challenge and to be ourselves and through the inner peace. So this is what I'm doing now. And every Sunday I host a space and talk about to find the inner peace and to find the self-love and everything. So this is my space every Sunday. So hope to host you one time, one day. And then yeah, it is all about me. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Loan, for that. And that is intentional as well for me to ask them to do that. Some of you may realize that I tend to mention what people do, some of the other hosts that are in the space with us. But what I want to begin doing is, and this is, Abiola mentioned about people introducing themselves. And I want us to get to a place where when you go into a room, you go into a space, that you begin to introduce yourself with a level of authority. And when I say a level of authority, I mean from the perspective that, I'm Timothy Brown and I host a space called Confident Speaking. And we're a community of learners where we're learning to become more confident and effective communicators. And that's something that's simple, but it demonstrates who you are on a level, and it also explains to people what you do very simply. And Lazolia does a great job with that. And I want all of you to get to a place where you begin to establish a way that you're going to introduce yourself. It's almost like a slate, as they may call it. But I want to begin practicing that. So I want all of you to begin thinking, how will you begin introducing yourself? Something that can be consistent and it becomes part of your brand that people always remember about you. Oh, yeah, that's the person that does the communication. They may not get it exactly right, but they get the point of what it is that you do. Or that person that has the bees that follow her around. Mama bee. So I want everyone to get to that point. And again, remember, everything we do in this space is intentional. And that's intentional to give you another opportunity to begin expanding your comfort zone, because it isn't always comfortable telling people about yourself and what it is you do, because we may feel like we're trying to get attention or that we're trying to market ourselves, when at the end of the day, you do need to market yourself. You need to present yourself, and people need to know who you are and what it is that you have to offer, because there may be people who need what you have to offer, and that allows you to be able to reach more people. Because as we've been discussing leadership and the idea of discovering the leader in you, cultivating the leader in you, and now maximizing the leader in you, that goes hand in hand with everything we've been speaking about the previous 2 weeks, and will also continue today. This will be the third and final part of that, but maximizing the leader in you. And I want everyone to know that you're always welcome to speak. Everyone is welcome to speak in this space. In fact, everyone is encouraged to speak. We need people to speak in this space, because it isn't the Tim Brown show. It isn't the Mama B show or the Loan show. This is about everyone participating and sharing your perspectives, so that we all are able to feed off one another's experiences. I don't know everything. I don't have every answer there is to be had, but I do have a level of experience and understanding about life in this world that I try to show up to share and make available, but I still learn from everyone else's experiences. So I want to make sure that you know that you're welcome to speak, and we want this panel to be full of speakers. We want the panel to be full of speakers that are going to be ready to participate once we get into the conversation. So I'll get started. Today, we're talking about maximizing the leader in you. And as I mentioned a moment ago, we spoke about discovering the leader in you, where some of us have been leaders and not realized it. There's the traditional, there's the motivational, and then the unintentional leader, which a lot of us have found ourselves being. And I would imagine that after 2 weeks, everyone that has heard that particular conversation has kind of decided and thought about what area you fit into. Are you traditional, motivational, or unintentional as a leader in your life? And then last week, when it comes to cultivating the leader in you, last week was focused on the mindset. Once you know that there's a leader in you, there's this seed that has to be planted and nurtured and given the right environment. It becomes a matter of the mindset that you have. We have to cultivate the right mindset so that we're able to move forward and have the impact that we're designed to have, because of the gifts that you've been born with, that you've been given to have an impact on this world. And now today we want to maximize the leader in you. And think about this. I believe everyone has seen a race car before. Everyone's seen a race car. And we know that typically every race car is fast. That's the whole point of it being a race car, so that it will be fast. But at the end of the day, you can't just put a race car on the track with a driver and expect it to win, because everyone's car is fast. Every car has a driver. However, there comes a point where you have to understand how to maximize the capabilities of both the car and the driver. So when they show up to the racetrack, even before they arrive, they understand that there are going to be certain weather conditions they have to contend with. There are certain surfaces that they have to deal with, and they have to understand, what tires do we need to use that are going to work best on this track based on the way our car drives and performs. What tires are going to give us the best ability to go around the curves and the corners? What kind of suspension is going to be required for stability and to be able to get around the curves as effectively as possible? So all of that comes into play when they're trying to maximize the car and the driver's ability to be able to win those races. So as leaders, I want you to begin to think about maximizing your skills and abilities and the leader in you, so that you can begin to fulfill the impact that you have and were placed on this earth to have in people's lives. And the first thing that I want to mention to you, and there's 6 points that I want to share. The first one is that you want to identify your follower profile. Identify your follower profile. And when I say your follower profile, the reason you want to understand that is, who is it that's following you? Who is attracted to what you offer? And at this point, I would imagine that you have already embraced the idea that you are a leader. So who is it that's following you? And what is it that you need to understand about those people in order to provide the best leadership that you can to them? That's important. So you need to understand who your follower profile, what your follower profile is. For me, even though I don't necessarily want to be in charge of people, I do understand that I'm still a leader because people look to me for guidance, for insight. They look to me for certain character elements that I may be expected to demonstrate. And when I think about what I do from the perspective of intentional leadership, is the people that are a part of my follower profile is those individuals that are at a point in their lives where they want to expand. They have the ability, but they simply need someone to help them recognize and believe in that ability that they have. The experts are not part of my profile. I'm not looking to have spend a lot of time with people that already consider themselves experts, because what I do isn't intended for them and it won't resonate with them because they're looking at things from a different level. For them, it's about execution and implementation. They've already gone through that process where they feel like they have all the confidence and belief in themselves that they need. They may have a level of notoriety. They have a level of expertise that doesn't make them feel like it's necessary to hear anything about fundamentals or how to get started moving forward. And when I describe that as my follower profile or the profile of the people that I would lead, that doesn't mean that someone is inferior. That doesn't mean that you aren't capable or that you aren't already very educated in life. It just simply means that sometimes we're at a point where we're starting over or we're beginning to identify something new about ourselves that we want to improve. And when we venture off into a new aspect of life, we have to learn. And for me, that's where I want to fit in for people, is the ones that are getting started, that are at the beginning or the middle, intermediate stages of their growth and development, because they're more susceptible or more open to receiving guidance and insight from someone else that wants to help them. So that's my profile. And understand who yours is. And think about this. If you're a race car driver, you don't need to be trying, well, not the driver. Let's say if you are the pit crew chief, then it's going to be difficult for you to get excited about having to go work with a bunch of doctors. That's not part of your profile, and they won't be excited about that. The pit crew chief wants to be around cars and people fixing cars. And this profile is important because you want to be able to enjoy where you are. That's going to energize you. It's going to give you a sense of purpose because these are people that you connect with. And when it does get a little difficult and challenging, you've embraced it because it's a part of who you are. So understand that, identify your follower profile. And next, I want you to make sure that you educate yourself. When you understand who you are influencing, who you may be leading, whether it's intentional or not, you need to understand that education is important. You need to understand the trends of your area of influence. You need to understand the tools that people use in your area of influence. It's important that you understand what's already available because your followers are going to understand it. Your followers are going to try to make sense of what's already available to me. What can I research? Everyone goes online to do Google searches to figure out how to do something, how to fix something, how to solve a problem. So you need to understand what's already available. Is there some science that's out there that could help you further enhance your ability to explain or demonstrate what's available based on your area of expertise or the area that you are now leading people and being that guide for other people to follow? So we have to educate ourselves. We cannot discount the importance of educating ourselves continuously. I'm always trying to learn something. And it's almost a gift and a curse at the same time because I can get sidetracked very easily. If I'm researching something, I see a word that I don't recognize. I immediately go to look it up because I don't want to miss the context of what's being said. If I don't get the context, I may misunderstand 2 full paragraphs. And what happens if the following paragraphs build upon that one concept? And I find myself going down a rabbit hole. So 10 minutes later, I may be 4 websites away from where I originally began. But that's just me wanting to understand, wanting to know and learn and grow because it only makes me better. It makes me more impactful and more effective as a leader. And that's the mindset that we have to have, but also learn how to manage. If you struggle with that, what I just described, as far as going down all these different rabbit holes, you have to learn how to manage that as well. So I'll make a note of where I am or where I left off to make sure that I get back, or I'll make a note of where I want to go next so that I don't get lost in all of this learning that I'm trying to do, because it can happen very quickly and very easily, which will minimize the effectiveness of the time that you're spending while you're trying to grow. So you have fragmented information that may not always come together the way that you need it to. But make sure you educate yourself. It's very important if you're going to maximize the leader in you. You have to be knowledgeable. And knowledge and education also amplifies your confidence. And we've all discussed that. Everyone understands that your knowledge helps expand your confidence as well, because you're comfortable speaking about certain topics because you've read about it, you've studied it, and you understand it for yourself. Now, the next thing that I want you to make sure you do is to determine your capacity. Determine your capacity as a leader. What does that mean? Some people are out front leaders where they're in front of people, but then there are also those behind the scenes. And when you think behind the scenes, in your mind, you may think that, well, if they're behind the scenes, how are they really leading? The person behind the scenes, and I'm gonna use my wife as an example, and I know she's looking up at the ceiling right now, wondering why I'm using her. But I love that she really made it resonate, where she came to me a few days ago and she said, you know what? And this is because we've been talking about the leader in you. And she said, I decided that I'm a behind the scenes person and I'm okay with that. I don't have to be out front. And she has a number of people on her team in different areas of the organization that have told her that she needs to be out front more. She needs to be speaking more. But she said very firmly, very clearly, and very confidently that I'm a behind the scenes person and I'm okay with that. But she's the driving force for her team. Everyone from the top to the bottom comes to her for guidance and information, for support. She's that person that's behind the scenes, but yet she steers the ship from the director to the person on the front line. She's that one. There's always a cog in the wheel, and understanding your capacity helps you realize how you fit in, and it allows you to embrace the role. But then you've identified the follower profile, which hers is her entire team. And then she's able to educate herself based on what it is that she's doing that makes her so valuable to her team. And she gets to expand on those abilities to make sure that she's able to deliver and to exceed expectations, because I believe in exceeding expectations. I don't want to do the bare minimum. But are you out front or behind the scenes? And then also, when we think about your capacity, are you a one-on-one person? If you do enjoy the idea of having a responsibility of managing people directly, is it one-on-one where there's personal interactions, or is it groups of people? Some people have the ability to lead 5 people. Some can lead 10, some 100. There are some that may lead 100,000. Think about the CEO of any large organization. That's a lot of responsibility. And everyone doesn't have the capacity to lead a multinational corporation. Everyone can't do it. And we have to understand, how do we fit in? Where is our capacity? But understand, even though you may say it's one person or 2 people, you still have to be willing to push yourself a little bit so that you can figure out and confirm where your capacity is Don't settle. And I thought about the introverts out there, well, because I'm an introvert myself, and I know how there's a tendency that as introverts to use the excuse that, well, I'm an introvert, so that isn't something I do, and never give yourself a chance to be all that you can be and maximize the leader in you. Being an introvert is not, or being an extrovert is not a condition for being a good leader or leading. So always keep that in mind. Push yourself to understand what your limit is. And as you do that, you begin to recognize your emotional capacity and also your physical capacity to lead. That's important. Not just are you leading people out front or from behind or how many people, but what's your emotional capacity to manage people or to lead people, however you're leading them. And I understand myself, my emotional capacity just isn't there to be in charge of people. I just don't want that because I understand how to deal with difficult people, but it's different when you're in charge and you're expected to make sure that these difficult people are doing what they're supposed to do when they don't want to do what they're supposed to do. And I've seen it time and time again where the supervisors just literally pulling their hair out. I've been on the phone with some of them and I just don't know what to do with this one. I'm at my wit's end. And I know I don't have the capacity for that because I'm trying to move forward. I want to make progress and I don't want to spend time trying to convince someone how important it is for them to do their job when they've already decided that they don't want to do their job. And as good leaders, effective and confident communicators, we do have the ability to work with them and potentially encourage them to do things differently, but I don't want to. And that's the thing. So that's where determining your capacity is very important. What do you have the capacity to deal with? But you have to push it a little bit and stretch it just to be sure so that you don't settle and end up not maximizing the leader in you. The next one is to see the big picture. We have to see the big picture. And when I say see the big picture, there are decisions that are made many times in our personal lives or even in our business lives where emotion is the driving factor. And someone says something, or there's a knee jerk reaction that we respond based on some type of circumstance. But I want you to get beyond the emotions and the surface level thinking or decision making. Who's affected by this decision or your action? How much does it cost? What are the costs? What are the risks of this decision that you're going to make or this action you're going to take? What are the potential benefits? And here's a very simple example that you can think about because the circumstances and scenarios can vary widely. But this is a simple one. Imagine you're at dinner and the server makes a mistake. And you were having a good time until the server made a mistake. And now you're upset and frustrated because this server made a mistake with your meal or your order, whatever they did that you did not like or appreciate. You have a choice. You can complain, which a lot of people will do. They'll ask for the manager so that they complain. But think about this. What's the big picture in this complaint that you're going to make? Does it provide any real benefit? What are the possibilities? Who is going to be affected by your complaint and how? What are the costs, the risks, or the potential benefits of you making this complaint about the server making a mistake? You make the complaint and the server gets fired because the manager is having a bad day. So instead of just dealing with it, the manager decides to fire the server. And this server is possibly a single parent. And that's the only job that they have, trying to figure out how to make ends meet, even with the little bit that they get while they're serving tables. So we have to think about not just the here and now, there's a bigger picture that's at stake. And I've learned to think that especially when we think about government officials, we always feel like we have the answers. We know what the government leaders need to do. Oh, they need to fix this. They need to stop doing that. And even with let me say it this way. There's more at stake than we know, because the decision isn't just about my home or just about your home and your family or just about your neighborhood. If funds get redirected from one group to another, what happens to the group who was once depending on those funds that you felt like should be cut off and turned off? How many people are impacted? I even think about, the NFL, where people wanted to boycott at one point in time. And I'm not trying to get controversial here, but I want you to see this as a moment and a scenario where we have to see the bigger picture. If everyone decided to boycott, say, the NFL, and I thought about this because a friend of mine said that he didn't want to watch anymore. And I started thinking, all right, so there's usually 60, 70,000 people in these stadiums. And who knows how many people are working in the stadium each and every time it opens. So that's a lot of people who lose their jobs. And then what happens to the surrounding businesses who are depending on those 60 or 70,000 people to show up, because that's part of their budget. That's the peak season for them during the season. So all those surrounding businesses lose out on potentially millions of dollars of revenue. And then it begins to go downhill from there. So as leaders, when we're going to maximize the leader in you, you have to be able to see the big picture and not get caught up in the emotions or the surface level thinking when you're making decisions or forming conclusions about something. You got to think about who's affected, not just one sided, and how are they affected? What are the costs? What are the potential risks and the potential benefits of those decisions? Those are very important to maximize the leader in you. And then I want you to learn to benchmark your development. Benchmark your development. We've spoken about comparisons in the past and how comparisons can be bad for you. But when I say benchmark your development, benchmarking your development means that you are intentionally observing people that you admire or people that have inspired you in some level, in some form or fashion. And what happens is you identify certain aspects of their character or their behavior or their style that resonates with you. And now you have the ability to say, you know what? I like that. I really connect with that. And I see other people connect with it as well. So now you use that as a benchmark to say, I want to learn how to do that myself. I want to make that a part of what I do in my approach to leading and doing the things that you do. And it could be from observation from a distance, or it could also be from a direct mentor that you have. You may have mentors that you're able to benchmark your development based on the things that you're learning from them, ideas that they're sharing with you, and different approaches they may be giving you along the way. So benchmark your development. It isn't about a general comparison, because comparison in the simple sense means that we're measuring ourselves against them to see who's better. But benchmarking says you're looking at someone that you already feel has a greater skill set than you do, so that you can determine what you want to aspire to. So that's why the benchmarking aspect is important when you're going to maximize the leader that's in you. And the last one is to add your special sauce. Add your special sauce in order to maximize the leader in you. And what's the special sauce? The special sauce is your unique personality. It's your unique perspective, or it's your innovative approach. Once you have identified your follower profile and you've educated yourself, you now have the ability to take all this information that you have and make it your own and have a completely different approach to the way that you present yourself. And I think about some of you that are in the space and some of you that I know that host, the way that you approach people, the boldness and the strength of Mama B's voice when she speaks, the subtleness, the gentleness of the Zolia's voice when she's speaking, the liveliness of different people and the confidence that some people project when they're speaking. It's their style. That's their special sauce that allows people to connect with them. And it's always interesting when I'm in a training, and I can remember specifically where the trainer, she had this edge about herself, And I remember one of the people in the class with me, he had raised his hands a couple times prior, and she said, okay, here we go. There's John again. What do you want, John? And she was able to get away with that because that was part of her special sauce. But the average trainer can't approach someone like that because the student would be offended if that wasn't the part of the personality that was unique to that individual. So what is it that makes you special? What makes you unique? And when you have your information and your education, it allows you to now come up with something innovative and inventive. You don't have to settle for what everyone has already done or what everyone has always done. I'm always looking for ways to improve and enhance. If something is working, I'm wondering, can it work better? Is there a way to improve? So that special sauce says that you embrace your personality and you be who you know you are supposed to be and add your unique perspective to what's going on. And as you begin to do that, you're going to realize that you're maximizing your ability to influence because you have identified your follower profile and you're endeared to that group of people and you want to be the best for them. You've educated yourself and you have equipped yourself to have the information and the tools. You understand the trends of that particular realm that you focus on, that you are able to thrive in. And then you've determined your capacity because I don't want you to try to do too much. If you aren't equipped to handle 10 people, don't do it because it will overwhelm you. It will be very stressful. And for some people, they allow themselves to be positioned to their level of incompetence where they don't actually have the ability. So be mindful. There are times where people will literally put you in a position that they know you are not equipped for, and they have the intentions of seeing you fail. So be mindful of that as well, especially for those of you that are going to find yourselves in traditional leadership roles. Be mindful of that. People will set you up. But if you know your capacity, they can't do that to you because you've already taken time to understand where you are in this thing. And remember to see the big picture, bookmark your development, and to add your special sauce. And if you do that, I believe you are absolutely going to maximize the leader that's in you. And of course, there are more things that you can consider, but these are 6 things that if you think about these and make these a part of what you do, it's going to really enhance your value and expand what it is you're able to accomplish for yourself and for those around you. So, with that said, we're going to go ahead and open this up for some conversation. And I would like to know, really, from some of you, if you have identified yourself, how have you identified yourself as a leader? Are you traditional, motivational, unintentional? And when it comes to maximizing, do you feel like you're already doing some of this? But I saw, okay, Mama B, go ahead, Mama B, and then we'll go to, I think it was Brenda and then Max.
Oh my goodness. I hope I was able to write all of this down as I put the stuff on my book here on my kitchen table and on my note app so I can post it in the chat. All of these beautiful, powerful points that you made here, Tim. And so I am an unintentional leader. And I tell you, the series has really is unleashing me to embracing that about myself. So in today's topic, the part where you say all of them are great, but the part that resonated so much is the sauce. You know, add your sauce, and that sauce is you. And so that unleashes me to really just just unleash all of me, man, and just embrace it because that is the sauce. Instead of trying to be like Tim, even though you are my secret mentor, it's no longer a secret anymore. I listen and I benchmark myself, you know, using you. But yes, it is that secret sauce, and that's what sets us apart from people. So yes, I'm an unintentional leader, and I'm working on adding that sauce. Well, it's probably there already, but you know, I wasn't embracing it. I was trying to be like other people. I'm done.
And it makes a difference. It's very difficult to be authentic when we don't embrace who we are and allow our unique personality and perspectives to shine through because it becomes robotic. So be yourself, be you, Mama B, because people love you for who you are. And I'm happy to hear you say that you are embracing it. It's there. You just continue refining and it gets more and more comfortable over time. It really does. Brenda, how are you today?
Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to come up. I know Max was first. I can definitely follow along though. It's up to you.
Oh, you know what? Well, that's on me. Well, Max, do you want to let Brenda go first? Okay. I figured he would. Go ahead, Brenda.
Okay. Rewind. Okay. So thank you for allowing me up. And I hope my voice sounds okay because I lost it. I couldn't talk for like a whole day. And then I sound like a man for the rest of the days. All right. So what I want to share is breathe. All right. I know for sure that I am an intentional leader. And if I wasn't, I want to be. I had a couple things happen. My daughter and I used to live in the same apartment complex. And long story short, a gal in the office revealed that she had been late on her rent. Apparently, she said she was always late on her rent at a New Year's Eve party. I found out about it and I called the office and I rode them up one side and down the other. I said, this is lawsuit material. I said, I do not want her fired, but she needs to be disciplined and she needs to know that this cannot happen. She is going to cost you money. So I thought, I'm teaching them. Another time I had glass in my drink. I called the manager. I don't want anything free. I just want you to know so that you'll be aware, maybe the way you guys are getting ice or what have you. But at any rate, I wanted to share those two things. But I am definitely an intentional leader.
Awesome. And this is great that you understand it. And you know, I think about that ice in the drink. It makes me think back to a day that I'd gotten a sandwich, a hamburger from a restaurant we used to go to a lot. And to identify the ones that have, oh, well, that was from earlier, Brenda. I don't even know why I hit the timer because I know you were going to finish in less than 2 minutes. But it makes me think about the day that the last time I went to this place inside my burger, because I happened to take the bun off, I was going to put condiments on it. And lo and behold, this little flag on a toothpick was underneath the bun. So if I had just decided I was so hungry that I didn't care about condiments, I could have bitten down on this burger and had a toothpick lodged in the roof of my mouth because somehow someone pressed this thing down where I could not see this toothpick sticking down in this bun. But I shared it with them, and similar to your experience, Brenda, I didn't make a fuss about it, but it was just so that they could be aware to understand that this is dangerous and people need to be attentive and paying attention to what's going on because that could have really been problematic had I or someone else in the future bit down on that. But I love that you thought about the possibility of what the outcome could be. You saw the bigger picture that you did not want them to get fired. You just wanted to make them aware. So I commend you for that. And hopefully more people will take that approach when we do share information, that we are mindful of the potential impact it can have on someone's life from a comment that we make. So thank you, Brenda. Max, how are you, sir?
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How are you?
Great, Tim. I just want to say that, well, I'm from Chile and I'm learning new words like intentional leader and a lot of things that, because I'm from South America, we speak Spanish. So it's been taking me longer to realize and embrace who I am. I lived in Texas when I was 17, but I had a gap like 15 years that I returned to Chile. And in pandemic, I traveled for 2 years between Texas and Mexico. And what you're saying, I I am an intentional leader. It took me a while to realize that. I work in specific things of vines and coffee, in genetics, and I'm the only one doing it in the world with the angle, because we have the original DNA here in Chile. I was just reading National Geographic magazine. I will put it on the nest there, about how crops are dying. And it took me a while to understand and talk and don't apologize constantly for my accent. And I've been improving that, my confidence, because I used to do lectures in the cruise ship of National Geographic too, and I didn't have time to be insecure. I have to do it. But pandemic, of course, made me a little bit of imposter syndrome, and I've been learning from you, Tim, and several other rooms that have helped me on giving the space to give. And it's true, you can get your dreams real. It's true that you have to slow down. Everything that people say, it's true. If I go slower, I don't hit in the apartment, I don't fall. And if I do it slow, I will do it faster, because I think better. So please do everything, take notes, see a lot of podcasts from Texas, from Spain too, if you know Spanish, because speed your mind. Thank you for the time. And if you like wine and coffee, let me know, because I'm gonna be the one that is gonna rescue the DNA of those two crops. Thank you.
Wow, impeccable timing, sir. And that is, I know I've heard you mention about your involvement with wine, and I think I may have missed previously about your involvement on the DNA level with wine and the different types of crops. So, man, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I'm happy to hear also that you're making strides, that you are believing in yourself again. And to everyone, just know that when you do have an accent, many times people appreciate the accent. And if you're in an environment where someone has a hang up about your accent, then it's probably an environment you don't need to be in. At the end of the day, with what you do, Max, you're probably speaking to people who are trying to make some money, or they're trying to have a good time. If the conversation is about wine, so they could care less about your accent and may actually find it enjoyable as you're figuring out how you're going to have a good time, or your R's are rolling and it's telling them that they're going to be rolling in the dough. They won't care about the accent. So keep believing in yourself, sir. Did that work, Mama B? Did I get that?
That was funny.
But yeah, keep doing what you're doing, Max, and you're doing a great job. And I can hear a difference in your cadence and the way that you presented what you just shared a moment ago from when I first met you several months ago. I can actually hear a difference. So kudos to you, sir. Keep doing what you're doing. Great job. Nino, I see you, sir. How
Hey,
are you?
no, I'm doing, thank you for, creating this space here. And, for anyone, that's in here, the one thing that I notice about myself is just giving yourself the grace. And Tim, I'm always going to come here just because obviously, you've impacted not just my life, but so many other people. And to me, when you guys were talking about going to places, not just in the restaurant, but any establishment, whenever I go into a place, I'm very aware of the people and how they interact, especially if I'm going to give you my money that I've worked really hard for. So, how you interact with people, your service, and I understand that sometimes you might get unruly customers or unruly people even in these spaces. But to me, acting a certain way, right? Integrity, character, you have control of that. I don't have control of how people interact with me sometimes. And to me, that's like an intentional leader, because the one thing that I don't like to see is people losing control sometimes. And I know that it's hard, but the one thing that you always talk about is the practice, right? It's something that you might start from the very beginning, like I did 3 years ago, and just coming in here and how to be a better person, not just for yourself, but also for the people around you. I found my purpose. to inspire others. Obviously, the end of June, I did my first event, and I wouldn't be able to do it without you and so many other people in the space here. Tanika, and I see a familiar face, Jackie, that I haven't seen in a while. It's great to see you. Then there's Joe. But Tim, I'm always going to come in here. And I have a question for you. How are you looking to expand on this platform? Because I like to get more of the one-on-one interaction with you. And I think there's other people in here. But once again, love you and thank you for everything you do for the community.
Thank you for that, Nino. And I'm glad to see that you are continuing to do what you do. And it's just a testament to the work and the commitment that you have to moving forward. And it makes a difference. And we have to be very intentional ourselves in order to get to the place we're trying to go. And to answer your question, as far as moving forward and looking ahead, I'm actually looking at doing some small groups with people. So we're working on something now. There were a few people, Abiola, actually, AI, he asked about this again recently. So I said, okay, well, let's go ahead and do it, because I don't believe in trying to force people into anything. And that's why I understand my follower profile. I don't want people that I have to try to drag along like a horse that doesn't want the water. I want people that say, hey, I'm ready for this. I need this. I want this. So then we can get involved. And that's why I don't do children, because I don't need to feel like I'm herding cats just to get, spending 20 minutes just to get them to sit down and listen. I need people that are ready to learn. But the small groups are on the way to be able to have that available. And then there will be some community access that we'll do as well going forward, where you'll be able to have some of the conversations and continue asking questions, get feedback and responses from other people that may have additional expertise and insight, different experiences. And that would be off of this platform, because these platforms, they come and go. I'm sure X is going to be here for a while, but at the same time, I don't want to be dependent on this platform. And then I also don't want the distractions of this platform either. It's very easy to get distracted on here, and everyone is vying for attention. So I'm working on the back end of setting some things up so that the small groups can be available, and then also the community aspect of it, where you can ask questions, you can respond to questions and comments that people may have. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, just real. So, are you looking to expand just in here, but also maybe out of like in the real world, physical places, because you bring so much value. I can just talk for myself. I would love to be part of that if it comes to promoting in any aspect. And I wouldn't even you don't even have to pay me. I just think that this is needed, and I can speak for a lot of people in here because you have changed not just my life, so many other people's lives, and I want to help you expand because I believe in you, who you are as a person, and your intentions are always pure and genuine, and those are the type of people that I want to associate myself with. So just keep me informed. I want to see how I can help you on your endeavors. Thank you.
Absolutely. And I will. I appreciate you offering that. And I absolutely have plans beyond the platform. Like I said, understanding your why when we do certain things, and even hosting spaces. And the spaces, this is great practice. This is a great way to develop information and content. And it also opens the door to do things outside. So I do have in mind to have live events, because I know that there are workforce development programs where people are looking to get jobs. I have a list. There's a roadmap of things that I want to do, and it's a big vision, and it absolutely will require other people to get it done. But I've also learned not to rush myself, because we can get so we can get in such a rush that we move things too fast. And I've seen how relationships get broken when you start trying to just bring everybody in and bring people in because you're excited to move forward. and things may not necessarily be ready for that yet. So I have a job at this point, so I don't feel pressured or rushed to do that. So I'm just trying to be patient and let God lead me at the pace that I need to be moving, because I've seen it over the years. It happens when it's supposed to happen, but I still remain intentional. And I will definitely let you know, though, Nino. So I again appreciate that, sir. So Mama B, I see your hand.
Yeah, I just want to say, Nino, I so appreciate that you asked that question, because then it allowed for Tim to do what he normally doesn't do. Tim doesn't promote himself, doesn't blow his horn or whatever. And this, to me, is also a lesson of leadership in an unexpected way, because it is an example of why, when you just have your nose to your vision and you do what needs to be done, God will send people around you. And Tim always says this, and I always just was faulting him for not blowing his horn enough. And so I've always felt that I'm the one of the ones brought into his life to do that for him. And so it now I'm seeing the manifestation of it, Tim, of you just focusing on what you do so well, and that work that you're doing, and just who you are and the integrity behind what you do, just causes us, well, this is what it means about your vibe will attract your tribe. So your tribe is being attracted to you and doing and being those loud mouths that you don't want to be. And so I just wanted to thank Neil for bringing this to the table today. Appreciate it. I'm done.
Absolutely. Thank you for that too, Mama B. And I do appreciate it. I appreciate you and Brock and the others that, Donika, Nino, that will shout out what's happening, what's going on. Because that isn't what I do. Because even though I lead from the front at times, I will, I have, it isn't where I choose to be necessarily. And it can be a funny thing, but we understand how to embrace where we are. And again, I've just learned to be patient. And I know that he will send the people that are supposed to be there when the time comes. So let's go now over to, and just so everyone knows, I know Will came up, but I just want to mention, and this is I'm not trying to put you on the spot, Will. I just want to remind everyone that in this space, we don't call on people unless they put their hands up, because our goal is for everyone to feel comfortable enough to make progress. And sometimes progress means that you simply come up and see the word speaker under your name. So we don't call on people just in case that's their progress for the day. So I just wanted to put that out there, Will, just in case. And I saw that Will put his hand up. So what we'll do now, and before we go over to Brenda Loan, did you have anything you wanted to share? Any thoughts so far? No pressure. Just wanted to make sure you knew you're welcome.
Thank you, Tim. Yes, thank you for being to be on this space today, because the topic is really interesting. Yes, I do agree with everything you said at the beginning, that we need to understand ourselves and express, and how to say, to know your special sauce, because this is very important, and you are always unique. No one can be like you. So the things you think that might be not fixed to the others, but this is could be something that you can help the others, because we learn from ourselves and we learn from our experience. So that helps the others where but we don't think so. Yeah, so just that I want to share. This is also the leaderships, because like the leadership is not need to be in front. So I resonate a lot with your wife. I always in the back end, but we can support the others, especially for the new incoming or the young professional. Just support them. So this is also the leadership. Leadership is to take initiative and take responsibility without asking for me. So this is what I want to share here. Yeah.
Absolutely. And thank you for that. And it does. It hit me when she said that. Even though she wasn't yelling at me, I just felt the all caps in the letters. You know how someone sends you an email or a text with all caps? I felt all caps when she said it because it came from her heart. And it's okay. When you recognize where you fit in, you understand your capacity and you're able to embrace it. And you're so much happier when you are able to walk in that particular role and you do what it takes to maximize your ability to lead where you are. So before we go to Brenda, I want to say hello to Donika, and Donika is normally here with us anyway. So Donika is a co-host with us, and she's in Albania right now. So I want to say hello to Donika, and I saw your hand go up. How are you, Donika? You're muted if you're speaking.
Team, hello, brother. I am doing great. I just found a moment. No, I'm speaking. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Team, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. How you doing, brother? Happy Saturday. Man, I'm so happy to be here. We just found a moment and we just stopped for a while. I said, I'm going to say hello to everybody. And I'm glad to be here. Hello, Donnie, Mama B, Nino, and I heard Max Morales. Max, you have to come in Albania. The wine here is, oh my God, and olive oil, everything. Food is great. But I just wanted to say that maximizing the leader in you. I think that every year that I travel, I see how strong I find in me that desire to learn more from others, even though I think that I'm doing a good job as a teacher, leading community in my city, connecting with other globally, but it's so much to learn. Number one, what I have discovered is when you are open to connect with others and learn from others, you strengthen yourself and you learn to become better. Because think about that, we went to a boat like across the ocean today to a beautiful place, and I was looking at that captain of the boat and I was like, man, he doesn't have no t-shirt, it's hot, and I have the hat and the clothes. And I was like, are you hot? He said, oh no, I love this job, my body is so strong right now, I have created this strength and I'm so happy when people come in the boat, I have to show places. And I was like, you really are captain of your boat? And he said, if I can't be safe, secure, and confident in what I do, and others are going to feel it, or I'm going to take them in the wrong direction. And that's all. A great leader is knowing who you are, knowing why you do what you do, and how much you love. Do you see destination or you just see the beginning? If you see the beginning and you crash in the middle, and you decide I'm not going to do it, or compare yourself with others, you're going to lose it, and might go back in a year or two. But as Tim said, shape the iron when it's hot, because that is when you mold the clay and the iron. But you have that strength, that confidence, that resilience, that willpower, no matter of what. I become mindfulness and spiritual coach because I have the experience at the best platform for my students. I learn from them as a single mom, and every experience I have in my life, I was like, what do I want to do? Help people to reduce stress and anxiety, living a mindful life, how to connect with their, higher self, and to become the best version of their self. And by coming in this community, we just don't talk about ourselves, but we let the community to see the leaders within themselves and others. And when they say good things about us, it's not that we are special, but we show up every day, we love what we do, and we allow people to create a safe space so they to connect with each other and to bring the best out of themselves. And Tim, my brother, you do a great job, and so many other people in here. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Donika. And I'm glad you were able to drop in for a little bit and that you are also enjoying yourself over there with family and just having a great time. So I know I've seen the pictures and videos, and it's like, wow, Albania, it's a beautiful place. So we appreciate you dropping in the midst of you looking at the beautiful crystal clear waters of Albania to come and share those nuggets with us. And it's everything she said, it's important, and looking for those environments where you're able to refine those skills. And I love how you mentioned the captain. The captain appreciated, he loved what he does. He enjoys his work, and that makes a difference. And he understands his follower profile. He's leading the people that want to have a good time on the ships and the boat. So thank you, Donika. Continue to enjoy yourself over there. And what I'll do is, I know Will was up earlier, and Will may not have known that he needed to put his hand up. So if you all are okay, I'm going to let Will go ahead and share his thoughts, unless Will wants to let the ladies go first. So
yeah, thank you, Tim. I'm more than happy to let the others go first. I'm just enjoying the conversation. When it's my turn, I just wanted to practice that powerful intro that you mentioned earlier. So more than happy to wait my turn.
Well, it can be it. Okay, well, we'll do that then. So we'll let the ladies go ahead. So we'll have Brenda Lazolia, Real McCoy, Jackie, and then Will. So Brenda, yes, I have a feeling you want to follow up to something that was said a little while ago.
Yes, I did. And I apologize for my voice again. And also, I forgot to say hello to the room. We are not leading, people are following us. You cannot lead if people will not follow. So I know we all know that. And when I leave this room, I truly feel this way. I have the armor of understanding and more tolerance. I have it anyways. But this room really gives you a boost. And then you get another boost in the middle of the week and so on. So those are all my saps for you. And I want you to know that I love you with my heart. I truly do. Thank you.
Well, Brenda, you are always appreciated. Love you back. And I love and see, Brenda has her own special sauce. She's very succinct to the point with what she says, but she has a little edgy twist to the way she presents the things that she says. And everyone can't do that the way that Brenda does, and people buy into it the way that we embrace it with Brenda. But I appreciate it, and I love that about Brenda. And Brenda, thank you for the saps, as you said. That's a new one for me. I'm writing that down, the saps, instead of the mushy saps. So thank you, Brenda. Appreciate you sharing that. So let's go now to Lazolia. How are you, Lazolia?
Good evening, Tim. I'm very well, thank you. How are you today?
Fantastic. I cannot complain at all.
Lovely. And good evening to everyone in the room. Hello, Mama B. Hello, Loanne, Donica, Will, Nino, Sarah, all my people. It's always a pleasure to be in this room on Saturday with all of you. Today's topic is amazing, maximizing the leader in you. Such a beautiful way to round up the series. I appreciate the point you said, Tim, about benchmark your development, because it's in line with what I do as a values-based coach. We tend to look up to people who embody values that we have or aspire to incorporate more in our lives. And that's why it's important for us to sit down and figure out exactly who we are. Who do we want to become? And what actions do we need to embody in order to become the person that we aspire to be? And this is even more important when you're a leader. So you don't always have to have a direct mentor, as you mentioned, because a lot of times it's because you're observing someone from afar that you're able to get to where you're going. And so when I align myself with people with values that I want to embody, it helps me to improve and better myself as a leader. And then speaking to the last point, you mentioned adding your own sauce, and that's definitely the key to standing out as a leader. You don't have to be anyone else because everyone else is taken, as Oscar Wilde said. And so it puts less pressure on introverts like myself to show up because now you don't have the pressure to show up as an extrovert because you're not an extrovert. So we can take different things and create something unique and true to ourselves. And when we're true to ourselves, we attract the people that are looking for our particular leadership style, and it leads to beautiful communities like this one. So thank you so much for letting me speak, and I love your spaces, Tim. Keep up the great work.
Thank you, Lazolia. And that I love that you, as far as the special sauce, that being you aspect. And it's so critical. If you don't be yourself, you're going to lose people because it's difficult to follow someone when you know that they aren't being genuine with who they are as an individual. And when you sense a level of when you sense that someone is being disingenuous in the way that they're presenting themselves, it potentially and quite often makes you question the integrity of what they're actually saying as well. Because, okay, you're pretending to be someone you aren't. Can I really trust the words that are coming out of your mouth? So it's really important that we do that. And I want to encourage, and as Lazolia was speaking, it just made me think to say to everyone again, for those of you that speak multiple languages, you are the majority. And I was at an event last night, and it's an event where they were celebrating Asian Americans that have had significant accomplishments over the past year. And we have people from Laos, Vietnam, organizations that facilitate community engagement, people from China, Japan. Almost any Asian nationality you could think of, they were there. But when they went up to the podium, they all spoke English. And I'm just realizing more and more that I'm the minority. I'm one of the ones that I'm thinking I'm a slacker because I only speak one language. So understand that if you speak multiple languages and English isn't your native language, please stop fretting or worrying about your accent. Be who you are because people will appreciate your accent. It's a sense of uniqueness. That's part of your special sauce, your accent that you have. And the most important aspect of being a confident and effective communicator is connecting with your listeners. And when you can connect, it doesn't matter about the accent because people are drawn to you and they hear what you're saying. And you'll be amazed at how many people are excited to hear something new and different every now and then. What do people typically say before they go on vacation? I need a change of scenery. So if they're sitting in the office all the time with people that speak the same language, it's like a breath of fresh air to be able to encounter someone with an accent every now and then. It just changes the dynamics of the interaction. So everyone, please, 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 stop questioning yourself or doubting yourself because you have an accent. Stop trying to get rid of your accent. That's who you are. Be who you are and own that. That's part of your special sauce. That's what allows you to be your individual person. That's part of who you are. So own that and never be ashamed of that again. And I just want to say welcome to everyone that has recently joined the space. We've got some new faces in the space, and we appreciate you all joining in. And today we're discussing maximizing the leader in you. This is the third part of a 3-week series that we've done. The first week was discovering the leader in you, because I believe everyone is born with the potential to be a leader. Not everyone will evolve into the leadership roles that they have the ability to do, but the potential is there. And we were discussing how to discover that. And some people are traditional leaders, some people are motivational leaders, and then some people are unintentional leaders, where you have become a leader by virtue of your character and personality, and people just appreciate and respect who you are, and they want your opinion because you are you. You have your own special sauce and your ability and knowledge and wisdom, and all of that rolled into a beautiful package. And then we talked about cultivating the leader in you last week. And cultivating had to do with the mindset, having to prepare. When you cultivate land before you begin to plant crops, you have to cultivate and make sure that you break up that hard soil so that it's ready for the seeds to be planted, and that it has what it needs to be able to nurture and nourish those seeds that do get planted. So we were focused on changing our mindset, making sure that the mindset in our head and in our heart was where it needed to be so that we're able to embrace the leader that's in you. And today we're talking about maximizing the leader in you. And we've given 6 potential steps to help you identify or maximize that leader in you. Is to identify your follower profile, educate yourself, determine your capacity to lead, see the big picture, and get beyond the surface level thinking or decision making. Benchmark your development, and to add your special sauce, which is the uniqueness of your personality and your perspective, so that you're able to maximize the value that you bring and the impact you're able to have in people's lives. So thank you again for that, Lazolia. So let's go now over to the real McCoy. How are you? It's Lori, right?
It is. Hey, Tim. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Great to see you.
Great to see you as well. I wanted to go back to what you said in terms of the languages, or the different languages. There's so many people out there who appreciate different accents, myself being one of them. And I wanted to encourage people to also stop apologizing. Don't apologize for who you are, where you came from, your special sauce. And I also wanted to say, with that note, is that I think that comes from the push for assimilation versus acculturation. Is the dropping off of who you are is really not what anyone really wants to do anymore. It's okay to learn the language of where you're going for functional purposes, but it doesn't mean that you have to lose all of who you are and those beautiful roots. So what I came up here to say, though, first is that wouldn't this be wonderful if we saw these points, especially the one in terms of like being concise, and I know you didn't say that, but I'm saying that. You did mention it earlier, but seeing the big picture in presidential debates. Like the last presidential debate was a hot mess. We're talking about like who's better at golf in the US anyway. Who's better at golf? Like no one really cares. You know what I'm saying? So I feel like if the presidents, the people who are running, the candidates, could create focus and see the big picture, I feel that the people who are listening would feel a lot more confident about them, because we can see their lack of confidence in the lack of preparedness before going up on stage. And what was the other thing I want to say? Oh, there's so many people. This is my last point. There's so many people who want to be great at coming into a big room of people and feeling really confident in speaking about important topics. So I feel like all of your points would be great, not only in public speaking, but in preparing yourself for integrating into a big room of people in networking. So thanks, Tim, for the room.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. And those scenarios, if you think about a debate or anytime you hear someone speaking, it should be a reminder to you, because I use them as examples for myself to make sure that I'm prepared as best I can be, because people are watching, they're paying attention. And if you're going to maximize the leader in you and the impact that you have, it goes back to, like we said, that educating yourself, making sure that you're equipped to provide what it is that people are expecting or what they may need from you to help them move forward. And for you to be able to move forward as that voice of reason or that voice of influence that they're looking to. And yes, I speak quite a bit about conciseness, Lori, because it's one of the pillars of this community, because we don't always have a lot of time to say everything we want to say. But I want people to be able to maximize the moments that they find themselves in so that what needs to be said actually gets said. And one of the ways that it can be helpful for everyone that may not have gotten to a point where you really understand how to do that yet, is to write down bullet points for yourself. When you come into a space like this, or if you want to speak in a meeting at work, write down the bullet points and think about them. Understand why you want to say it, what it means, and how you're going to approach it. And when you have this guide and this framework, it will allow you to be less nervous because you already know where you're trying to go. You know what you're going to say and how you're going to say it. And that will actually minimize some of the butterflies, some of the nervousness, because you have a plan. It's a lot easier to execute and take action when you have a plan. And when we say plan, that may seem like a big word simply to say something in a space, but it's the mindset. It's the idea that you're preparing yourself for anything in life. And that's what we want you to do. That's why we do what we're doing in this space. So thank you, Laura. I'm glad you were able to make it and came up to share those thoughts with us. So let's go now over to Jackie. Hi, Jackie. How are you? Great to see you.
Hello. Great to see you, team. Long time. Haven't been here. Hello to everybody. Donica, Nino, Mama, Lon, La Solia. Okay, I'm glad to be back. I think I'm going to start being back. I was doing a lot of things. I was not prepared to be with other people. So I took a while to be by myself and think about whatever I wanted to do. In the case of the sauce, I think I started backwards because what I did as a leader is I started with the sauce, but I forgot the other important things, and I knew I was a leader, and I knew that I have the potential, but I was putting too much emotion in. So if I have to define myself, of course, I'm going to say I'm an emotional leader. I put a lot of passion on it. But with you, team, I have learned a lot of things so I can balance that. For example, you are a great example of balancing emotions with leadership because you always have to do that in order to send that message away. And I'm learning that to be less emotional, to be more calm. I'm also learning that a great leader have to believe in themselves. They have to be yourself. They have to be calm. You have to exude trust to other people. For example, with team, I will put my life onto you. I know that you will be there for me. It's as simple as that. And I don't know you in person, but the way you behave, the way you present yourself to others is a combination of somebody that is very empathetic, that you can trust, that is very calm. So in a situation that we need to take decisions, important ones, we have to be calm. I want to say that I'm in my life, I'm the front leader, but in my daughter's life, I'm the back leader. So I help her a lot, but I let her to believe that she's the one making the ultimate decisions because that's the truth. But I give her the tools to do that. So I think we have to be leaders for ourselves and for other people around us, like, I don't know, anybody, like your daughter, just be there backing them up. Thank you very much. And I'll be here. Thank you, Tim.
Absolutely. And thank you, Jackie. And it's good to have you back. And I'm glad you thought through some things and took some time for yourself. And that's a great example of determining your capacity. She just shared with us that she took time to understand her capacity. And sometimes we need to step away from circumstances that may not be serving us well in order to understand what it is we need to do for ourselves first. Because you can't be an empty cup trying to pour into someone else's life. You have to figure out how to get your cup full and filled so that you actually have something to give. And you don't want it to be contaminated either. So we're glad to have you back, Jack, and I really appreciate everything that you shared about the space and the things you said about me as well. And I know how important that is. It's important for me that people have a level of confidence in what I'm saying. And I don't do the things that I do for attention, I don't do it to impress people. I do it because I know that people are listening to what I say and people are watching. Someone is always watching us, and we have to make sure that we leave the kind of impression that we want to be remembered for. And that's part of being unintentional leaders. I'm mindful of the spaces I go to because I don't want people to follow me into a space and they're looking around listening like, wait a minute, what's going on in here? This is not who I thought Tim was, So even though it's my life on the personal side, I'm still mindful of that. And that's part of being a leader. There's sacrifices you have to make as a leader when people follow you. And we can influence people even when we don't intend to. So I'm very mindful of that. And the last thing I'll say is I love what you shared about your daughter, Jackie, that you in a sense, as far as your daughter's concerned, you're taking a back seat. You're giving her the ability to understand how to make decisions and choices. And that's one of the things leaders do is empower them. And I like to call it creating wins for people so that they have the opportunity to experience little successes in life, to build their confidence, to know that they have the ability to accomplish things. And that also you're demonstrating trust in them and showing that it's okay to make mistakes. Mistakes will happen in life. And as a leader, you have to have people around you and give them the ability to make mistakes so that they can learn. Because remember, in this space, we want you to make mistakes in this space. This is the place to make them. If you aren't willing to make mistakes, you will not have the ability to make success or be successful. You have to be willing to fail in order to succeed. So great share, Jackie. Great point. And again, good to have you back. So I saw Mama B's hand go up and then Luan. And then after Luan, we'll go to Will, Maid Coin, and then Nancy.
Oh my goodness. I just want to add to just to piggyback on what Jackie said about the daughter, because I raised my hands to say this, but then she mentioned the daughter. That it just occurred to me that these 6 things apply to parents. A lot of us in this space might be wondering that maybe this leadership thing does not apply to us because we are not, leaders in our minds. That's what we think. But if you're a parent, you are a leader. So in your household, you're leading and guiding your children. And so these 6 things, tips or points that Tim has laid out here apply to leading your family. So the identify your follower profile is know your child, know their giftings and talents and their personalities and just know your child. And then number 2, educate yourself in your area of influence. So learn and educate yourself about parenting. 3, determine your capacity. So know thyself, self-care, pour into yourself. So you are you're parenting from you poured into yourself, like Tim just mentioned. 4, see the big picture, so like keep your goals, what you want to accomplish as a parent in mind, so you could make decisions whether to fight some battles or not fight others, and keep your interactions with your children in the way that it will lead you to those goals. 5, benchmark your development. So watch and observe people who are ahead of the parenting journey. So I just wanted to say all of that wow, these things, there's 5 of them. I thought they were not 6, 5. But they apply to parenting, and all of us here who are parents, even when you're not a parent, there's children around you that you are leading without you knowing. So that unintentional leader. Thank you, Tim.
Absolutely. And thank you for reinforcing the fact that we want to be able to think broadly. And that's why I was slow to give too many specific examples, because I didn't want you to get locked into one potential aspect of how this applies in your life. I tried to use the server example as one as simple as possible so that you can begin to think that bigger picture. How does this apply in other areas of my life? and that's confident and effective communicators. As leaders, that's the type of thinking that we need to have. The way things go together that may be seemingly totally unconnected. Wait a minute, unconnected? That's a word, right? Give me a thumbs up if unconnected is a word. I know disconnected is a word. Okay. Yes.
It is now. It is now,
It
Tim.
is now. Okay.
That's your source. That's your source. It is now.
There we go. Well, I'm going to use it. Unconnected. I'm going to write Webster and see what it takes to get unconnected added to the dictionary. But two seemingly disconnected or divergent that have nothing to do with one another, how they actually can relate and how you can use those to create something different. And that's where your special sauce comes into play, because some of you have unique thought processes. You have unique approaches to the way you see the world, the way that you process numbers, and you're able to bring in aspects that other people can't see. There's this movie called The Beautiful Mind with Russell Crowe, and he just saw things so differently. And all of you have some level of that. And I want you to begin looking at the world a little bit differently, to not just say, well, this is a tree and this is a car. There's some level of connection if we just stop and think about how things connect. And I'm not asking you to just start walking around and trying to create connections that may not be there, but as you are processing and pondering ideas and thoughts, as you have things that you're deciding about, and you have different people, different circumstances and scenarios that need to be accounted for, don't discount the possibility that there's a connection when you look a little bit deeper, and how it can become something even greater than you imagine when you see how they can relate to one another. So with that, we will go over now to Will. Thank you, Will, for allowing the ladies to share their thoughts and then you coming in after. How are you, sir?
Thank you, Tim. I'm doing very well, thank you. And I'll try and keep this as concise as I can to less than 2 minutes. First of all, we'd just like to start with this short story to tell you why I want to do this. But basically, 3 months ago, I was let go from my job as a mortgage advisor. And I've had the opportunity, and I'm very grateful for it, to reassess my life and try and find a purpose to commit the rest of my days to. And I've finally got to the point where I am able to identify and articulate my purpose, which is to help people live more intentional and empowered lives. So to do this, I need to become a leader. I've found myself in positions of leadership in the past, leading teams and training sessions. But if I'm going to step up and really help people on a large scale, I need to actually become a leader. And I found I am deficient in several of the key places here. So doing things like this, jumping into spaces, meeting people for the last couple of months has been a great way to help me get into, sort of push past that comfort zone and really start to play that bigger game that I'm going to need to play in order to live my mission. So what I wanted to do is what you said earlier on, Tim, about being able to promote yourself, because this is an area that I am deficient in. And I've only recently started to try and do this. I'd like to try and introduce myself as a Spaces host, because I do run a couple of spaces every week, just to get that initial sort of fear out of the way, because I do feel the fear when I do these things, but I always try and push past that. So I'd like to introduce myself. So I am Will Carter. I am the host of the Monday Mindset and Success Spaces Book Club. I am a mindset and accountability coach helping solopreneurs live a life of personal excellence. And I just want to say thank you for allowing me to do that. That has been something that I wanted to do in a space for a little while. And I have now pushed past that barrier of feeling the fear. So thank you.
Excellent, Will. Excellent. And I appreciate you pushing past the fear and doing it anyway. So everyone remember that courage is doing it even when you're afraid. And it was very well done, Will. So you should record that and save it and reuse it. It was an excellent job. And we appreciate you coming up and sharing that and taking the opportunity And this is what it's about, everyone, us taking those moments to be able to move forward. Every little moment helps. Every time you get to speak, it makes a difference and it enhances your ability to move forward. That's what I would call a win. For some, it may be bigger or smaller for some people, but Will, that's a win. Write it down. Keep track of your wins, everyone, so that you're able to reflect. There will come a time that you're going to feel what people call imposter syndrome. You begin to doubt yourself for one reason or another. But if you make note of these wins that you get, when you share your introduction for the first time in the space and everyone loved it, those are things you can look back on and remind yourself that I am more than capable, that you have what it takes to do what it is that you've been trying to do. So great job, Will. Excellent job, sir. So and Luan, I missed you earlier. Your hand was up, and my apologies for that. What is it that you were going to share with us?
No worry, team, because I'm here. So, yeah, thank you, Will, for sharing about the fear. Because I remember as well the first time I hold the space, and actually when I joined X, I already dream one day I will host the space, and I just procrastinated because I was feel fear. I'm not good enough. I'm not. My topic may not be interesting enough. But then just one day I just say, yeah, just do it. And then I have to overcome my fear. This is a big change for me. So like I just imagine myself as a company. So when do we do something new, something change, we have a lot of communication, right? To to calm down on the resistance, to convince the resistance, to convince the other to follow us. So I convinced myself that yeah, I can do it. So just do it. And so I just launched it. And so yeah, it's really a weird, I would say weird feeling when I see that yeah, I make it, and then I continuously do it now until now. So yeah, this is what I want to share. So that is something I say. Yeah, leadership has to overcome the fear as well.
Absolutely. And you just do it. And I love that, Luan. You did it. I'm not sure how long you pondered doing your space, but I know it popped up one day and she's been doing her space. And everyone that may be considering it, as we think about, again, your follower profile, you educating yourself, your capacity, hosting your own space could be an opportunity to share what it is that you have to offer. That could be a great way to share what you have to offer. It's a great way for you to learn and practice and continue moving forward. Will, did you put your hand back up or was that still up from before?
No, I actually put it down, but I do know spaces can be a little glitchy with the hands. But no, mine's done. Thank you.
Okay. I just wanted to be sure. And so let's go now over to Made Coin. Made Coin, how are you?
Yes. So sorry about that. Thanks for being patient with me. Now I was on another space just now. I'm just happy. Love everyone here on Tim Brown Space. I'm just gonna keep it short and simple. Everything you speak, Tim Brown, and for everyone's experience to be leaders and self motivators, keep doing that. What I do is for myself. I'm trying to work on changes, but changes takes time. So just don't be hard on yourself. I have a whiteboard that I posted up that I sent a tweet out where I have a list of 10 different things what I'm working on myself, which is forward thinking, review my day, review my week, review my month, even review my year and see what changes and progress I made. If I haven't made any progress at all, then I'm going to be disappointed, but I'm not going to keep thinking negative. But I always like to keep myself busy because if you don't keep yourself busy, mental stress will come to your mind, and whoever you're around, you know, whoever's bringing you positive energy, you have to keep that with you. And the key is protecting your energy and your time. Those are the most important things as far as your health is number one investment. And that's all I have to say. Thanks again, Tim Brown, for letting me speak. I love everyone here. I just want to see everyone grow and just keep overcoming whatever you're dealing with in life, and don't isolate yourself. Keep going forward, and also listening to music besides exercise also help. And it all depends on what type of music too you listen to. Keep that in mind. So keep going forward. Love you all. Take care.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Made Coin. I love that. And it's a great note for everyone that change takes time. And I love that you have your whiteboard and you have your list of things that you're trying to accomplish. It's a reminder. And it's also part of the process of being intentional. They often say that what gets written gets done. But even if you come up short sometimes, it's okay. That's what happens with goals. You set the goals as where you want to go. And I encourage you not to set the goals so low that you really don't have to assert any effort to get there, because technically it's a goal, but is it a goal that's going to move you forward? We want you to expand your comfort zone. So the goal should be just at least a little bit uncomfortable, that makes you feel like you're challenging yourself, that you can identify progress. And you know that if you are able to hit this goal, you have moved yourself forward, not simply treaded water doing something that you already had the ability to do. So those are some great points that you shared, Matecoin. And I appreciate you coming in and sharing that with everyone, and always appreciate the love and support that you always give me and the space and the things that we're doing. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you again. Can you actually uplift me? I'm being honest with you. I get emotional. You uplift me in a lot of ways, and you uplift a lot of people. And we need more people like you. All right. There's not that many people out there that's like you, and we need more people like you. Thank you again.
I appreciate that. I really do. I really do. And I'm going to continue being who I am and doing what I do. And I know how important it is. And sometimes, and this is for everyone to keep in mind, there are times your impact goes far beyond what you would even imagine that you have on people's lives. And that's why it's important that you're around people who will encourage you. That's why it's important that we encourage other people. I make it a point to give you the encouragement myself. And I want people up here that are speakers when we do the challenges. I want several people to be able to give that encouragement, because we need that sometimes. There are a lot of us, a lot of times you go through life, you go to the job, you may get home with people that are familiar with you, and they don't give you that encouragement, that push to let you know that you're making a difference, that you're important, that you're valuable. And I wanted to make sure that this space was here and available, and that we did that for people, so that when you come in and you speak, when you do your introduction of yourself, to know that it was impactful, that I felt it, and that you mean something. And when you become confident and effective communicators, that's part of it. That's part of the process, is believing in yourself, but also understanding the importance of providing that for other people. If I ask someone how they're doing in passing, I mean it. If they say I'm okay, I will ask, well, you sure just okay? Is it something you want to talk about? I give them that extra nudge just to see if there's something that I may be able to do to help. I don't ask it just because I can. I really am willing to offer assistance if I can. So it's those little details. So confident and effective communicators that are trying to maximize the leader that's in us. All of that is very important. So let's go now over to Nancy. I think we may have. Okay, Nancy may be gone. Okay, so let's go now over to Joanne. Joanne.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Tim. It's been a while.
Yes.
I wanted to pop in here and say hello. I always enjoy your spaces. And for those who don't know me, I'm It's Little Things. when you hear that, now you're going to see it everywhere, I tell you, because it's always the little things that make the most difference in your life. And that change is truly those little blocks that you're putting together every time you move through life. And I'm really loving the conversation here. You know, as I'm a parent, I work in risk management. It's my job. I always call it, you know, because it's double the work because it's for someone else instead of myself. And I have learned in my risk management position that all human beings are really creative artists. And by that, I mean that we are all so unique and special about the things we love and the things that we do, especially the things that we do with ease. And we don't always appreciate that ease we feel with those things that we are doing so simply are things that not everyone has ease in doing, and that includes speaking and, you know, all of the things, guys. um when we oh goodness, our unique viewpoint is just so fabulous. And I really encourage all of you to do those little things, you know, hosting, co-hosting, participating in spaces, and that is support of others in particular is something that you can do to add value to any space, whether it's putting information in the bubble, whether it's following somebody that inspires you or sounds like they need assistance. It's all of these things. They add value, they make connections, you grow your communities by doing so. And the more we grow our communities, the more comfortable we become with ourselves. And I have found that over the last 4 years now, since coming into these spaces and really participating. And you know, it's just a remarkable thing. And as I want to say, you know, as you fear growing, your mind is trying to convince you to stop what you're doing, that it's not valuable, that, you know, all of these weird little thoughts that you get is your mind protecting you from something that is probably something that you should be doing, that you are, you know, moving forward. So the only things that make you thanks Tim, the only things that make you fear less are doing the things, you know. When you listen to spaces and there are pieces that inspire you, get a piece of paper and write down little notes and then share them. That's what I do for any space. I always have notes for every space. All of the things that have inspired me or the things that people have spurred me into thinking about and encourage me to share. And then I use those notes as parts of things that I post about and I share with other people. And I think those are really important things to do. Share your goals, share the little pieces of those goals that you are working on, whether you've done it or not. I have another chapter that I'm been part of a series of internationally best-selling books. Most people don't know that. And I am in the process of doing my next chapter. So last week I shared, you know, I'm working on this chapter. I'm almost done, and I didn't do it. And then I spurred myself into doing it. I tricked my mind. So guys, do the things, share the things. And I'm sorry, Tim, I'll stop talking now.
So thank you for sharing that, Joanne, and good to see you back in the space. And the little things are definitely important. Always remember, it takes little things to make small things. And you know, I love the example of looking at a huge skyscraper. You see this 100-foot building, but when you look in up close, you see these small little 3 by 2 by 6 inch bricks that it took to put that building together, or cinder blocks, inches that turned into 100-story building. So the little things are very important. So thank you for sharing that, Joanne. That's an excellent point. And Mama B, I saw your hand. And before we go to Mama B, I just want to mention to everyone, just as a reminder, today we're talking about maximizing the leader in you. And I want to hear from some of you the perspective you have as we've gone over this for about 3 weeks now, discovering the leader in you, cultivating the leader in you, and now today maximizing the leader in you. And what is your perspective about yourself? Are you a traditional, motivational, or unintentional leader? And what are some things that you feel like you may be doing to maximize the leader that's in you? Mama B, I see your hand.
Yes, just quickly, I just want to piggyback on what Joanne said. Joanne, you said about how you write notes and then you post about it. I just think that's just so powerful because I was thinking that even in the space, when we have these spaces to increase the engagement even beyond the space, if we could, because a lot of people are saying a lot of beautiful things, we could tweet, the tweetables that are being spewed out here or shared in the space. And so when we hear something that we like or that resonates, to just tweet it, not to take attention away from the space itself, because we'll be over there in the chat doing that and tweeting, but just quickly tweet and then come back and listen and keep your focus on the stage here, like in here. But this is to encourage those people in the room who are not necessarily coming up on the stage to speak, but everybody could then feel included. Not included because this is not an inclusive space. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm just saying in engaging. I guess that's the word I'm trying to say. So yeah, so people could feel that they're engaging, and so there are people who have left notes in the comment section there, their comments, and that is great to see that we are all engaging and engaged even beyond this space, because then when we leave the space, we can be engaging those tweetables that we tweeted before, right, while we are in the space. So I think that is a beautiful point that you brought up there, Joanne. Thank you for bringing that up. I'm done.
Tweetables. So there's another word. I'm pretty sure you've used that before, Mama B, but I'm writing that down now so I can remember tweetables. Let's have your tweetables, everyone. What are your tweetables for the day? So we want to see those in the chubble, as people call it, the little purple pill. Let's get a list of tweetables that you have taken from this space today. And I wanted to go back and say to you, Joanne, that I wasn't trying to be rude just then, but the reason I did that, and it felt like I may have been interrupting, is because I'm trying to get us more intentional about that conciseness piece. And for the longest time, we have the timer, and by the way, so everyone knows, the timer is set. I took the time and I created these timers so that I just push the button one time and it chimes automatically at the different intervals. So I don't sit there waiting to push the button, when it's close to time. It's automatically set to do that. But what I've done is, in the past, is people would hear the chime and then they would keep going and they wouldn't stop and they wouldn't stop. And then, the timer ended 2 minutes ago. And I'm trying to get to a point where we all become more intentional about that, because it goes beyond just what we share in this space. The intent of this is so that we develop the habit, that we develop the mindset, that we force ourselves to decide and determine what it is we want to share, that we learn how to refine those thoughts, so that if you have an executive that's willing to listen to your business proposition and they say you've got 2 minutes, that you have the ability to be able to explain what they need to hear in that 2 minutes time. And if we don't become intentional about it, we never develop the skill. So that's why I did that, Joanne. And I just wanted you to understand that, and that it wasn't
no worries, Tim. I was wrapping up anyway. I was just finishing my thoughts.
Mhm.
So I appreciate that, and I always try to keep it short. Thanks.
Got it. Absolutely. So then now let's go over to Yusuf. So we got Yusuf, then Jackie, then Bold, and actually Nancy. Nancy was up before Joanne and Nancy got disconnected, I believe. So let's go to Nancy, and then we'll go to Yusuf, Jackie, and then Bold and Strong. Nancy, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Tim. Hey everyone, it's so good to be here, and well done to all the speakers. They've done amazingly well to the topic, maximizing the leader in you. You know, maximizing the leader in you is not just a crucial topic, but a transformative one. And we all know that leadership is about influence, impact, and the ability to drive progress. So to maximize the leader in me, I just have to be self-aware. You know, I need to understand my strengths and my weaknesses. The journey to effective leadership begins with self-awareness, and then I discovered that I need to know my strengths, I need to know my weaknesses, I need to know my values, I need to know my passions. And of course, great leaders are introspective, and they have time to understand themselves and the effect they have on others. So that's why I took my time to be able to identify those my strengths, my weaknesses, my values, and my passion. And of course, we all know that great leaders are learners, right? They learn continuously, and and then I know I need to embrace growth and adaptability. Yeah, the world is constantly changing, and so must I. Yeah, I must change as the world is changing, because great leaders are lifelong learners. They read, they observe, and they remain curious, right? They just want to stay ahead, and they want to continuously evolve and adapt. I'm going to use this opportunity to say thank you to Tim. This is an amazing space, and it's been impactful so far. Thank you so much. Basically, that's all I wanted to add. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. I'm glad you came up and shared that. And I totally agree that we have to understand our strengths and weaknesses. It's very difficult to know where our opportunities are if we haven't taken time to assess our strengths and weaknesses. And I would challenge everyone to ask yourself, if you were sitting in an interview right now and the interviewer asked, "What's your biggest weakness?" That is a question that challenges people quite often, and they have to sit there and ponder to figure out what it is. And I've literally heard people say, "Well, I don't really have any. I can't think of any." Well, we all have weaknesses. We all have areas of opportunity to improve, and that's something that we should all think about. What are our strengths and weaknesses? Build on the strengths and improve those weaknesses that we may have. And I like to call them areas of opportunity. And the continuous learning and adaptability, very important, Nancy. So I'm very happy to hear that's the mindset that you have and the type of thought process that you're dealing with. And you don't hear, and I'm going to say, you don't hear a lot of young people speak that way. I don't know how old you are, but I got the impression that you may be, a little younger. I know definitely younger than I am. So keep thinking the way that you're thinking and doing the things that you're doing, because it's going to serve you very well in life. So let's go now over to Yusuf. Yusuf, then Jackie.
Okay, good evening, everyone, and thank you, Tim, for granting me the opportunity to speak here on your space. So, maximizing the leader in me, there are some things I put in place. I have to maintain honesty and strong moral principles. I have to lead by example. If I want to really, really impact, I have to lead by examples. Build trust with my team members and stuff. And I have to invest in their growth. Okay, investing in my team members' growth, showing them support, opportunities, and that's going to develop your leadership skills, and not just your leadership skills, is going to develop the growth of your team members. Yeah, and you need to learn to delegate tasks effectively. Yeah, you need to learn to delegate tasks effectively, trust your members, empower them to take ownership of their responsibilities. And that's how you are going to maximize the leadership in you effectively. And you need to be flexible. Nancy has mentioned it, like you need to be flexible to change, embrace challenges, and be willing to adjust your approach as needed. And I joined this space when you were talking about accent. There was this interview that I went to, a telesales company. After the interview, I got everything right. Then she said, I don't have the accent. I should go and learn how to speak American accent. I was like, this is me. There's no way I'm going to use the time frame she gave me to learn American accent simply because I want to get a job in a company. So I just decided to forget about the company. I didn't even go back to it. I was just being me. I continued with my accent. At least sometimes whenever I talk, people will appreciate it. People will be like, "Oh, I love your accent. Keep it up." So why should I change my accent because I want to work in a company? It's not possible. And then you mentioned something about goals. You shouldn't set small goals. Your goals should be big. You should set bigger goals. I always say this: if your goals are not scaring you, if your goals are not scary enough, you have bucket list, not goals. So if you have smaller goals, you are going to be like reluctant to achieving that. But if you have bigger goals, if they are scary enough, you're going to put in a lot of work to make sure you achieve those goals. Thank you so much, team, for granting me the opportunity to speak here again. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for that, Yusuf. And congratulations to you for walking away because someone felt like your accent needed to be different. You can't not be who you are, and that's where we have to make some tough decisions at times in life where there's something we feel like we want, but you get in the environment and realize that you aren't able to be yourself. Now, keep in mind, just because we be ourselves doesn't mean that we don't make adjustments from time to time. There are adjustments that we may need to make on occasion, but that doesn't mean you change the core of who you are. And I like the example that if you want to play in someone else's game, you have to play by their rules. And if you don't like the rules they have, then we go find another game to play in, or create your own game that other people can come join you. So I'm glad to hear that you were able to do that and you believed in yourself enough to go and look for a different opportunity for yourself. And leading by example is definitely important. Investing in your team, definitely important aspects of being a leader, definitely an effective leader. So thank you for continuing to be intentional and coming up and sharing that, Yusuf. So let's go now over to, we have Jackie.
Yes, adding to the conversation, somebody was saying, and you too, Tim, that you should open in a space. And I would recommend this even if you don't want to open in a space, because what will happen is that you probably go find out something that you never knew was inside of you. In my case, I started opening spaces, and I find out that it was not for me. I talk a lot, and I saw that I need to say a lot. But now, opening the spaces, I learned that I have to hear more than I have to talk. It's something that I realized. So right now, I understand what was missing. It's not that I needed to say things. Talking, everybody can talk. Listening, just a few. And that's why I think a great leader is a great listener, because they already know, but they don't have to show the world what they have to say. They just want to listen and corroborate whatever they're saying is the right thing, or they can even improve on it. And that's why what I learned. That's what I like about you, Tim. Another thing that I'm always, and I think a leader should have, is to be grateful about everything, like waking up, having a food, a roof under your head. And when you're grateful, you're not going to find a lot of people grateful. But when you find that one that is like you appreciate it the most. That's why I appreciate Tim that much, because he appreciates every breath he takes every day, and he cares about others. But this is not only because he's no, he do really care about others. And another thing that people do not probably know is Tim have a very strong faith in his life, and that's what keeps him going, even though he doesn't talk about that, because this is a space about other things like leadership. But sometimes having values, faith, religion, whatever keeps you there, it will project you into a great leader. But you don't have to give all the details. That's what Tim does. He never give all the details. He doesn't even like to be called a leader. Real leaders do not like to be called leaders because they think they're doing the right thing only for the sake of it. So that's what I wanted to say, adding to the conversation. I'm going to be here listening. I would like to participate later to present myself, but I appreciate everybody that is here because, team, you are doing what a lot of people are not. You know what you do in your spaces? You bring the better self of every one of the people that are here today. That's what you do. Even if people are meant to be mean, you take them by the hand and say, let's be nice today. Let's do this. So you do that every day. And I appreciate it. And I will appreciate you for the rest of my life because people like you don't find every day. People that are willing to pour themselves to help others. That's a call there, man. Thank you. And I'll be listening.
Thank you for that, Jackie. And I love that Jackie has determined capacity. Another example of her recognizing her capacity and taking the time to figure that out. And she has pushed herself to help figure out what her capacity was. She was nervous about doing the space, but she did it anyway to see if she could because she knew she could do it. But her capacity isn't at a point where that's where it's most beneficial for her or where she's most effective. So that's just another great example, Jackie. And yes, great leaders do need to be great listeners. Confident and effective communicators have to be great listeners. And that level of gratefulness, it does matter because we need to appreciate life, everything that comes with it. I'm grateful even for the challenges and struggles in life because they help build me up. They strengthen me and teach me how not to do things in the future and how to just be better. So thank you, Jackie, for that. Mama B, I see your hand, and then we'll go to Bold and Strong.
Okay, Tim, you can reprimand me in the DMs later. Don't do it in public. But I just feel like I'm going to take on the head of being an usher. You know, when you're in church and there comes a point where the ushers have to pass on the basket for people to put a little love offering in it. So I'm going to do that just in this moment because with all of the beautiful praise towards Tim, everyone in the room here, we loved him and we praise him so much. And I just want to bring your attention to the Buy Me a Coffee link on his bio over there. That's where we can actually support Tim and support these spaces because there's a praise we can praise and then versus support. So we praise, and it's so beautiful. So let's move another level and support. And there's a Buy Me a Coffee in the bio. Yes. So you can reprimand me later, Tim, because I know you don't like this stuff, but here I am. This is my sauce. Okay, you talked about sauce. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mama B. It just goes back to how God will send people to do things that we won't or can't sometimes. And in the right time, he does it. So I appreciate you, Mama B. So let's go over now to Bold and Strong. Bold and Strong, how are you?
Hi, team. I'm fine. And hello, everyone. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Vaishnav. I'm from southern part of India. I have a YouTube channel, Bold and Strong. I know I talk about self-improvement, life advice, stress management, and many more insightful topics. You know, how to elevate your thinking and make yourself a better person. And the reason why I joined this space is, I want to improve my communication skill because I understood in this world, if you can have the ability to communicate and negotiate, you can be very effective. So that's the reason why I joined this space. And if you look at my account, 3 months back, I used to post space. Even if there is nobody there, I used to talk about self-improvement because
Excuse me,
when I
Bold and Strong.
Yeah.
Are you using a wireless headset?
Yes, sir.
Are you able to disconnect that? We hear you, but I know for me, I'm having to force myself to hear what you're saying. I think the wireless headset is causing some distortion because I want to make sure we hear what you're saying.
Let me disconnect the wireless.
Okay. And what we can do, I don't know how.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, much better, much better. Thank you.
You're welcome. So hi, hi Tim, and hello everyone. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. So my name is Vaishnav, and I'm from southern part of India. I have a YouTube channel, Bold and Strong. I talk about self-improvement, life advice, stress management, how to elevate your thinking, and to become a better person, and many more insightful topics I discuss in my channel. The reason why I joined this channel is, this space is because I find, very it has value. This space definitely had value, and I want to improve my communication skill. And I understood in this world, if you can be if you can be effective with your communication skill, if you can be concise with your speaking, you can be very effective, whatever that it is, when it comes to business, when it comes to day-to-day talking or storytelling, whatever that it is, if you're able to articulate your thoughts, you can be very effective. So that's why I want to improve my communication skill, and I want to be the best in what I do. That's who I am. So if you look at my account, my it's account, 3 or 4 months back, I used to host space. Even if there is no one there, I used to speak, because when I go to the space, I used to eagerly, I want to talk about something, about communication, about self improvement, but I never found anyone hosting the space like that. It was always about crypto coins, dating, and sports. It was all about that. Then I found out
I think your mic is covered.
Yeah, so I got a notification. So I joined. I found it very valuable.
We Bold and Strong. Your audio has gone out. It sounds like your phone is under a pillow.
Are you able to hear me now?
Yes, we hear you now.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. So yeah, I was talking, so I was saying about I used to host space before, even if there is no one there, I used to host space, I talk about self-improvement, and I used to think why no one is talking about communication. No one is talking about, self-improvement. And then I got a notification, then that's a space about communication, and it was hosted by Tim and Donika. And I joined this space, I was very impressed by the way you talk, how you handled, and I was so impressed by
Bold and Strong.
Yeah.
It keeps fading. It's like every time when you mention our space or this space, it keeps going down to where we can't hear you. So what I'll say is, I think I grasp what you were saying, and it sounds like you were actually practicing your introduction as well. Let's see. Let's mute that for a second. It's creating an echo. Okay. But what I was hearing, it sounded like you were actually practicing. Well, I need your mic to stay muted, Bold and Strong. So it sounds like you were practicing your introduction that I suggest. Bold and Strong, your mic. I'm muting your mic for you, Bold and Strong, because it's creating an echo when I speak. So hold it, leave it muted for me, please. So what I was saying is that it sounds like you were actually practicing your introduction, which I commend you for that. And it was very consistent because you did it twice. And you presented it the same way the second time as you did the first time, which suggests to me that you have committed this to your heart. You are very clear on who you are and what it is that you do and how you want to present yourself. So I give you kudos to that. And much like you, in the beginning, when I was thinking about a space that I could do, I was seeing a lot of crypto spaces as well, spaces about relationships. And I love talking about relationships, but there were other people doing that. And communication was something that I wasn't seeing a lot of either. And that's what led me down the path of doing confident speaking. My wife actually sparked the idea, And I just kind of changed the title to make it more broad and called it Confident Speaking. But I want to just say thank you for doing that and coming up and sharing your introduction. And that's a great example for other people to be able to hear. It was very concise and very clear about what it is that you do and who you are. So great job on that. So let's go now over to Michael. So we got Michael, then Ingrid, then Tomatum, and then Brock. And before Michael shares, and just so everyone knows, anyone that's already a speaker, just as a reminder, we only call people when they raise their hand because we don't want anyone to feel pressure to speak. Some people come up as a speaker because it's a first step for them to make progress, getting comfortable being uncomfortable, just so that they can see the word speaker under their name because they've never been a speaker before. So we wait until people raise their hand before we call on them, just in case they're just trying to take a step to make some progress. So just a heads up for everyone that's already a speaker on the space right now. So Michael, how are you, sir?
Pretty good. How bad is the noise in the background?
It just stopped.
Well, of course it did.
Thank goodness.
I shot the person who's working. No, I'm only kidding. I wanted to talk to Jackie. Jackie, you're so correct. 90% of speaking is listening. 90% of speaking is listening. Being a good listener and being a good interviewer, that takes a lifetime of mastery. Because, we all want to talk, right? We're all feeling important. We all get in these conversations where it's like, I'm going to say this clever anecdote and everybody's going to be like, woo. But the truth is, a really good speaker doesn't care if he speaks. He's more worried about the content, how strong the content is, how many people in this room are satisfied with what we're doing. Now, Tim is a lot more patient and kind than I am. I used to get where their equipment didn't work. Guess what happened? I rushed and I flushed them. They were gone. And I went to the next person. That's not a good way to build a fan base. But I just wanted to mention that. And Tim, all those sounds in the background are just for you. Thank you, buddy.
All right. Well, I definitely appreciate them, Michael. So let's go over now to, but listening, Michael reiterated the listening that Jackie shared. And it is imperative that we do that we have to listen well. If you're in a conversation and you don't take time to listen, then you can't connect with people or understand what their message is or what their point is or what their heart may be as we are having those interactions. So listening is foundational to be a confident and effective communicator and an effective leader as well. So let's go over now. So what we'll do,
I have one quick question, and I won't bug you again. I'm sorry.
What's that?
If someone wants to respond to something someone said, how did they do that? Just curious.
If they want to respond to something someone said, people have been putting their hands back up. And once we come back around to them, they share it, or they make a note in the bubble, the trouble down at the bottom right hand corner. So those have been two things that people have done. So let's go now over to, so I see Mama B, but what I was going to say was we're going to go to, let me see, Ingrid was going to be next and Ingrid got dropped down. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch someone out so that has already spoken. And if you want to come back up, you can, but we're going to bring Ingrid back up because she's requesting. We don't have any more mics to give right now. And if someone has already spoken, we can do it this way. If someone has already shared what they want to share and you don't have anything to share right now or in the next couple minutes, if you want to drop down, that will be great. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go to Mama B, Ingrid, Tomatum, Brock, Then we have Giovanni. So the speakers that are on the panel now, including Ingrid, those are going to be the final speakers that we take today. It's 1:20. So we're going to go ahead and get those people an opportunity, and then we're going to wrap up after that. So we won't be taking any new speaker requests at this point for the day. Mama B, go ahead.
Yeah, no, nothing to say. I was going to say what you just said about rotating people. I didn't want to rotate people, drop them without you having said so first. So you just said it, so that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, so let's go now to Ingrid. Ingrid, how are you?
Hi, Tim. Hi, Mama B. And hi, everyone in the space. I mean, this has been, like you said, listen. It has been a great space to sit and listen. And having to, or let me also say hello to Loanne. Um, the two things, the person that just asked, I wasn't able to see who it was. I like to tag in the space. If I hear something that I like or something someone said, I tag their name in the space in the purple bubble so they know I'm speaking to them directly, and then add in whatever statement needs to be added to include an engagement in case it needs to be, discussed even further. So that's a good way of doing that communication if you don't have a chance to come back to share in the space. And every Saturday, I love to give praises to Tim and for the space. It's been a while that Bella introduced me to the space, and I try my very best to bring on other people, share the love, share the maximize the leadership within that I'm learning in this space as well. And I think this space has taught me also to listen more and be patient and hold back, because a lot of times you could be in spaces and you're like urgent to, when you have the mic, to interrupt. I'm also learning to not do that, which is also great. And if I do have to say something immediate, I use that purple bubble to do so. And believe it or not, you do get engagement back from it, whether you do it, if it's something personal, send it as a DM. And if it's not personal and you want the whole space to know, share it in person. But again, Tim, I just wanted to say this. I am learning so much here, and you are making me a better person. And I have to continue to tell you this. And as I said, continue spreading the love, because I love my Saturday mornings from 11 to 2:30 or whatever time we go to. I don't care. It's always been a learning experience here. And thank you so much.
Thank you, Ingrid. And it's always great to have, those people and those voices that share what we're doing. That's how we grow. That's how we spread the love. That's how we change the world. It's the ripples that we create with our actions that have the biggest impact on this world. And it may not be that action we take that is intentionally to change someone. Many times people resist when we tell them something that they have to do. But when we give them guidance or we model certain behaviors, people are more receptive. They tend to be more receptive to behaviors that we model because we're showing them as opposed to telling them, and we're giving them an option to choose that. And I was excited this year, back in June, middle of June, when our grandson got here. He usually comes to visit during the summer, last several years, and he turned 8 this year. And last year I started this thing where, you know what, you can do what you want, you get to choose, but just know that there are consequences for your choices. And we had some moments where he had to experience the consequences of the choices that he made. However, at the end of the day, he got to choose what the consequence or what the outcome was going to be. And when he came back this year, one of the first things he said when he got into the house, I forgot what the conversation was, but he said, I remember Pop said that there's always consequences. So he remembered that. So be mindful of the things that you say to your children or to children in general they hear the things that are being said, even if they don't automatically acknowledge them or repeat it back to you. They hear it and it sticks, good or bad. So we want to be mindful that we are instilling the positive behaviors and attitudes and mindsets that we want them to actually develop as they grow older in their lives, because this is going to happen. And believe it or not, even if you don't specifically or directly tell them, there's a genetic transfer that takes place. So just thinking about the way you live your life, the type of person that you are, it's something that kind of passes along. And this can be for those of you that may not have children yet and may be planning to. There's some things that just happen that just get passed along, even without you being there for a number of years in their life. And you'll begin to see that as time passes, that I never told them about this. I never taught them this directly, but there are things that children adopt from you. So just be mindful of your personality, your character, and the way that you carry yourself, because it will affect your children, whether you do it directly or not. So just really be mindful of that. So let's go now over to Tomatum. Tomatum, how are you?
Hello, Tim. I'm
Hello.
great. What
Good.
about you?
I'm fantastic, doing very well. Good
I'm
to
so
hear.
happy that finally you can say tomatum incorrectly. Okay, so before I speak, I want to tell you something. I'm not second guessing your order of mics, of course, but can you see a speaker or someone like raising hand called Will Carter? Can you see him?
I can. And Will's hand, I think his hand got stuck. So Will spoke earlier
Okay,
and the system
great,
has his hand stuck up. Well, locked.
great.
Yeah.
I just needed to make sure that I did not take his turn because I saw his hand before me. So I was just double checking. So thank you so much for this space. Thank you for the nice topic. Thank you for the awesomeness you do every Saturday. This topic is very hard. It's very deep. I don't know where to start, but let me tell you about maximizing the leader in you. So I think you're talking about our inner leader, not just being leader in a position or something. I will give you a live example about the leader in me in Tamotam. My dad passed away when I was 6, almost turning 7. And my mom got busy providing for the house and everything. So I was kind of responsible for everything. Like regarding me, of course, I was a kid, not responsible for the house, but I was responsible for everything since I was young. Part of it was due to the external circumstances, the outer environment. That okay, so my parents, like one of the parents is not there and the other one is busy, so I don't have any problem, not complaining. I'm very thankful. But I was also, or I already have OCD. But when I was young, I didn't know that this is OCD. I have always wondered, why am I different? Why do I have to double check the oven and all the electricity plugs and the door key and everything 5 times before I sleep? I never knew. I thought I have something is wrong with me and that I'm not normal. I always wondered, why do I have to arrange the books according to the length in my school bag? Why? Why does it have to be also length and color and everything? I never knew. So actually I knew after I grew older and I heard about OCD. So now, oh my God, this is OCD. So I have been suffering my whole life, and this culture of having a mental disorder wasn't really there in my family. So they didn't know, and I didn't know, and I was always ashamed by it, like by the things that I do. I was always ashamed, and I used to cover, I do them, sneaking to do them. Then, because I had OCD, I was extra responsible. Like my mom never told me to study or do my homework. I always felt like I have homework, I have to sit and do it. So I would say that I was kind of leader of my life since I was young. And then when I got older, Okay, so of course I went through some difficulties, and I suffered especially during teenage years, because like when my dad passed away, I was really young. I didn't understand this. So okay, my dad is not here. What can I do? And then I realized the importance of having a dad when I became a teenager, and I could see and notice that with my like girlfriends at school or in any place, I could see how their father picks them up or calls them to check on them. So I understood, okay, so having a father is really important. And then I was young. I didn't understand life, of course, well. I'm talking like 14, 15 years old. I was really young. I used to blame God, which is something I shouldn't do. So I used to blame God, like, why God? Why did you take him from me? Are you happy with what's happening to me? Are you happening that I'm going through all these difficulties in life? Of course, like, I didn't know well then. And then I grew older and I joined university. My university was far, I'm talking around 2 to 3 hours commute. So I had to leave, and my lectures started 8 a.m. in the morning. So I had to leave house like 6 a.m. It was basically dark. You know, I only walked in the street with stray dogs for real. But I did it. And actually, when I went there, I found my colleagues or other girls in the university, they cannot do anything alone. Like they're coming with their parents and they cannot even cross the street or anything. So I was like, okay, now I get it. Because when I applied to the university, I went alone. I used to go alone all this way. I didn't have any problem. I went back home. I studied all my lectures. I didn't take any private lessons or anything. And I came out as the valedictorian in the final year of college. Then I realized that God has wisdom in everything that we go through, but sometimes we realize it very late. So I look back, in time, and I see my 15-year-old me blaming God, saying, why did you do this to me? But now I realize and I say, oh my God, thank you. Thank you, God, for making me go through all these things, because I love my personality the way it is now. And I can lead my life very well, even when I had to move out, even when I lived alone. And I had to take a lot of hard steps and make a lot of decisions. I wouldn't have done them if I was a spoiled little girl that used to have everything she wanted or she asked for. So actually now I realized it, and I knew that everything happens to us in life. It happens for a reason. Maybe we don't realize it at once, but it will pay off later. So I said to God, thank you. I'm happy with like the personality I am now. Thank you for like making me go through this, because like I wouldn't have had this mentality if I hadn't gone through this. So now leading my own life, and after every trouble or every predicament or every hard situation that I've gone through, okay, I felt sad and everything, because I said before in a previous space that of course I give myself time to be sad because I'm human, but I could rearrange everything and try to get out of it later. It's not easy. I would very much identify myself as my own leader, my own life leader, and I'm so proud of it. But there is another side that I need to point out, is that it's okay to feel weak sometimes. There is a pressure put on the concept of a leader that you have always to know what to do 100% of the time. No, it's okay. It's okay that sometimes, whether you are like your own leader or a leader in a position or a company or a place, it's totally fine that sometimes there's a situation you feel like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. It's normal, because you as a leader, any kind of leader, you act in situations according to two things: previous experience or the amount of skills you acquired as to how to deal with sudden or new situations. Sometimes there are situations your mind will just lag. You'll just have a block in your thinking, like I cannot think straight.
Right.
So as a leader, you can have your own times of weakness, not being able to lead, which is normal. Me myself, I am not as
Tomato.
yes.
So I love everything that you said, and I really appreciate the story that you shared when you were growing up. And I think there are several people who can probably relate to that and connect to that when it comes to losing a parent early and then you having to change the level of responsibility. You know, you having to take on certain responsibilities that as a child you shouldn't have to be worried about. And that will definitely create a level of leadership, I guess we could call it. You know, it teaches you to see life differently, adaptability, and that ability to be able to overcome no matter what happens in life. And I could only imagine how difficult that may have been because both of my parents are still alive. So I can't even begin to say that I understand what that feels like. But I really commend you for working through all those thoughts that you had, the doubts that you experienced along the way, but you continue to learn from it as life went on. And now you're recognizing how, as it pertains to not only yourself, but you're seeing some of the impact and influence that having parents around can have on people. And I know that that will shape the way that you do some things in your life as well, you know, with your family that you have or may have at some point in time. So I really appreciate you sharing that heartfelt story and even the idea of the OCD, because there are people who struggle with that and it can be difficult when someone doesn't understand why they may be doing some of the things that they're doing, feeling as though they're crazy, but that isn't the case. I mean, everyone has something that we struggle with on some level, and to be patient with ourselves and try to figure out what it is that we may be dealing with so that we're able to navigate it and learn how to live with it in a way that it doesn't hinder our ability to be effective and impactful in our lives. So I'm really, really happy to hear that you were able to get through all of those things that you have had to experience in life, and you're still accomplishing your goals, you know, graduating from university, getting your certification here recently, you know. So you've come a long way and you've accomplished a lot. So keep doing what you're doing and keep inspiring people, because you never know how your story may impact someone's life and potentially change or save someone's life. So I really appreciate you sharing that, you know, something that's so intimate and personal that you shared. So it shows a lot of trust and comfort with us. So really appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Tim. Really, really much appreciated. And I'm sorry if I hogged the mic for too long, but thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Thank you. So let's go now to Brock. Brock, your hand was up. Brock, you're muted if you're speaking. Let me okay, there it is. Brock.
Let's see, you got me now?
Yep, we got you now.
Yeah, do you have me?
Yep, we got you.
Great, great. Yeah, I just wanted to say, guys, yeah, this is Brock. I'm from Tennessee, Knoxville, and I love it when we stay on topic, and it really helps the space when we give personal experiences of what this space is doing for us. A lot of times I listen and I feel as though I'm getting commercials. I'm not getting experiences. What really helps my friend is when we stay with what we're teaching, how it is affecting your life and your life personally. And me, for example, it has really gave me a lot of empathy.
Is it just me? Can anyone else hear him now?
No.
Okay. We can't hear you, Brock. We can no longer hear you. We may be in a bad spot. Well, I tell you what. So what we'll do is we'll go over to Giovanni and see if maybe Brock gets his connection reconnects here shortly.
Yeah, hi, Tim. How you doing, Tim?
Doing well, Giovanni. How about yourself?
Oh, all right. Do you hear me pretty good, or because I have these AirPods? I have the AirPods. I just finished
Yes,
changing them.
I can
I
hear
had
you.
problems before. Ah, great
Yeah,
stuff.
we can hear you.
Sorry. Listen, I really want to tell you, buddy, and I call you as a friend. Why? Because there's such a connection when I hear somebody speak and it connects to me. That means that there's a current going. That means there's an energy. I just want to tell you, what can I add to what you're already saying? And what makes a great space is that you can't add much more when somebody when somebody says something, you do become in a way not speechless. You're just quiet and you listen. But I have to say one thing, and I think for me to say would be like what a true leader is, right? A true leader is the collective of the whole. And if we can just maybe look at that and say, you know what, the collective of the whole, that means the connection to everybody. In other words, simply, I mean, if I have a Tesla, I can't go anywhere unless I plug it and the connection gets there, right? So basically, that's what it really is to me. And I really applaud you, Tim. That's great stuff. And every time I go through spaces, but every time I get some certain spaces, I remember them. And your space is certainly a great one. Keep up the stuff, my friend, truly.
Thank you for that, Giovanni. I really appreciate that. And I plan to. I plan to continue and do this. This is not just something I enjoy doing, but it's something that I feel like I have to do on some level. This is part of who I am and part of why I'm here. So I really appreciate that. And I'm glad that it's resonating and that it's being impactful with people.
Yeah, my friend, it's key. I'm telling you, everything to life is the key, and that is the key to life. I don't care, what anybody says. It's the key to life. It's connection. It's everything.
Absolutely.
Anyways, take care, Tim.
Yes, sir. You as well, Giovanni. Thank you for that.
All right.
Brock, I see your hand back up. Let's see if we're able to get you back in there. Brock?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Can everyone hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Great, yeah. Thank you. I just wanted to say, this is Brock from Tennessee, and it is great when we use personal experiences that we've learned and practiced in this space, what we do with them in our personal life and how they change and are moving the needle to where we want to go. That is the most we can do to help Tim, is to give those speakers the experience to share what is working and what is not working so well. But when a lot of times when the speakers get up, I hear commercials. I don't hear anything about what we're.
Okay, looks like it's cut off again. It's cut off again. I'm not sure, Brock. It's almost starting to feel like that part isn't supposed to be shared today. Is it cut off at the exact same point? Still no Brock. Okay. So
I agree. Thank you.
Okay. So, but what I heard Brock saying was essentially, it's great to share the personal experience, the personal impact that you're gaining from the space, how you're taking what we discuss, all the experiences that everyone has had, and how it's affecting your life and how it's allowing you to transform. And that's when we really recognize the impact of what's happening here in the community. So let's go over now to Nomad. Nomad, good to see you, sir. It has been quite a long time, and I'm glad you made it back from the mountains of Nepal and back home safely. I know it wasn't Nepal, but I know you were hiking a while back. Good to see you. How are you, sir?
Thank you very much, Tim. Hope you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you. I can hear you.
Oh, yeah, it was like more than a year. And believe you me, I just staying here since long in your space because I miss that pronunciation from your mouth, like nomad. It resonates with me a lot. And I'm my apologies that I'm popping up after a long time. And if you notice, you will find a little bit of the stammering in my voice too. So my apologies for that because uh, back for some time I was struggling with my health, but I'm lucky enough that I'm back and I can talk and I can walk now. And as usual, confident speaking is your identity, and within that, I give you this credit that you are here to make leaders. I really, cherish sitting here and listening to a lot of people with their opinions. And I felt like that I should keep sitting and keep listening to the people and their experiences in their life and their opinions, because that what really means a lot in my life too. You know, maximizing the leader in you, the two powerful words, and probably in 5 words you have stated two superlative degrees. Now, I cannot, find the more positive words than maximizing and the leaders. And just behind it is the confident speaking. So all these three things, you can, really talk for days and days and days, and they are so interlinked and connected. So in advance, I will apologize if I say something which has already been said. I will just my side of the leadership is that leader. I take your this subject as a leader in you, right? Uh, Most of the time, once I started studying about the leadership, I knew that someone to lead, but here I took another aspect of it. It's the leader in you to lead yourself to the better side of the life, which means the positive side or the progressive side of the life, right? Because if you go comparatively, you cannot really judge who is the good leader and who is the bad leader, because you will have certain group of people, maybe a community, maybe a company, maybe your colleagues in a team or a sports, and to whom you are leading, but it's not necessarily that the other side of the people they like you. So yeah, leader in you to lead yourself. That's the big ask, Tim. That's a very, very big ask. If the first thing is established that yes, you have a leadership ability and now you want to maximize it, I would say if you have identified that you are a leader, I don't find a question that you need to maximize it. It is just the instinct which you have to develop inside you to become a leader, and that comes with the awareness what actually leadership mean is. The very common rhetoric that the leaders are either born or they are created or they are groomed or they are taught. Okay, from my side, crisis, testing times, adverse circumstances, those are the situations which really uh, make you really choose to become a leader. And unless you do it, you have no way to go out of that crisis. And if you cannot go out of that crisis, you are no more a leader. So leadership is, for me, is the instinct to survive, is to instinct to have those positive side of the life with a progressive approach. You know, you have to shun away the dependencies. Why you have to shun away the dependencies? Because if you do not have this understanding that no one will come to your rescue than yourself, you will remain there where you are. So that's not going to work for you. What in this world is happening to you which has not happened to rest of the world? Those experiences are residing in this community, in this society, in your country, in your region, in the globe. So what is missing? The missing is learn, focus on the experiences of the others, those who have already experienced the way one of the speakers said. You have books, you have real life experiences of others, you have the company of elders, you're watching movies almost on every weekend. You're going to the office, you're going to the school, you're going, the busy traffic situations. Learn what is happening to the people. And that's what gives you the experience if you face the real challenges in your life. So for me, leadership means awareness. Awareness of what? Whatever happens in your life, remember, nothing will happen. The life will still continue. Your belly will still be with you. Your dependent kids will still be with you. Your family. If you are stuck in one crisis and you think that is it, no, sir. Whatever happens, nothing will happen. And it is you who will come to your rescue. Tim, I'm really glad. I'm really glad to my creator that I could speak today. I could hear my name from your mouth, and it's been almost 1 year. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that, Nomad. And I'm glad to know that you are recovering from the health situation that you had a while back. I remember once you came back from hiking, I think it was, there was things going on. So I'm glad to know that you are on the mend and are, as you said, able to speak and walk again. And things like that we often take for granted. We take those things for granted that are normal aspects of life. And when you're at a point where it may no longer be available to you, it can be very scary. And it gives us a greater appreciation. And as Jackie said earlier, about the idea of gratefulness. And as leaders, we learn to appreciate the little things in life that can mean so much to some people. Because the fact that I can go get in my bed and get up in the morning and turn on the air conditioner. There are people right now, millions of people, who are struggling just across this country that don't have electricity to turn on their air conditioner. So I'm grateful, and I don't take those things for granted because I know that they can be gone in an instant. At no fault of my own, things can change, life can change, and we have to be mindful of that. And as confident and effective communicators, as effective leaders, we need to be mindful of that and understand that everyone has different life circumstances, different life experiences that may cause them to behave a certain way or cause them to respond a certain way. Just like the example of the server that we gave earlier that made a mistake and upset the customer. But we don't know what that server's day was like, how they got to the point that caused them to make a mistake. So we have to be empathetic with people and understand that, give them some grace and give them an opportunity to resolve things that may be going on. But I totally agree with you, Nomad, that crisis is a building block for strength and courage for us. And we have to, as leaders, be able to understand how to think through the crisis that we may find ourselves in, because that's part of what gives people the comfort to follow us and to trust us as leaders. When you have the ability to navigate a crisis and remain calm while everyone else is losing their minds, you can still remain calm and identify a path forward that leads everyone to safety. So thank you for that, sir. And it's always great to have you in the space. And again, I'm glad that you're better. So let's go now. Ingrid, I saw your hand go back up. Ingrid, did you want to follow up to something, add on?
I did, and now I completely forgot because we went and I did not take a note on it. So that goes to show you take notes so you don't forget.
Okay. Sorry about that. And I'm sure it will come back to you once David shares what he wants to share. So David, what's your experience with maximizing the leader in you? What are you doing to maximize the leader in you? What type of leader are you? And if you want, feel free to do your introduction about who you are and what it is you do.
Okay, thank you, Tim. You can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you very well.
All right. Sorry, my internet is a bit intermittent, but I'll try. I'm based in Kenya. I'm David, and it's really great being here. This space is always, as everyone has confirmed, it's a place we get encouragement and motivation. And one thing I would want to point out, Tim, is I really learn a lot from you, even in the aspect of patience, because sometimes we can become very, very impatient, but it's a very good example that you have to set for all of us. Having said that, I'm not sure how many of you know where I am. I'm currently in Kenya, and there's been kind of bit of issues that have been happening. And I'm very passionate about leadership because I'm in business. Sorry, there's a bit of noise in my background, but it's going to go away in a few. So I'm very passionate about this because just as John Maxwell says, everything rises or falls on leadership. So I know the effect it can have on organizations and even countries. And my country right now in Kenya, we are experiencing changes and surprises every day as a result of decisions that are made by leaders. And, probably you can follow what is happening back here in Kenya. And when I was looking at it, it got me thinking what kind of a leader I am. And since I'm in business, this has been my concern for some time. And maybe it will come in a form of a question. What do you do when you are working with other leaders, but your leadership style is different? Because they are different. I know we have to appreciate that there are different leadership styles, and there are people who want to use the autocratic leadership style. And let's assume that you're in the same space, you're in the same company, and sometimes you like being democratic. You like being empathetic with what is happening. But then you find probably your colleague or maybe your leader is autocratic. What happens in that case? And my kind of leadership, I'm the kind who is diplomatic, which has brought a lot of issues to me sometimes. I'm a bit more empathetic, but it doesn't always go very well, especially in the space of business, because of course not everyone will come with the right intentions. But now the extreme of being too forceful is that then you can end up losing very good people because you happen to be very forceful and you're forcing, issues. I don't know whether because of time I wouldn't want to take more time. Maybe just that clarity, but just maybe to appreciate and team. Let me say, God bless you. We always look forward to this space. Probably I'm not able to join every other time, but whenever I'm going across the different spaces, you can be sure that whenever I join this space, I leave feeling more motivated and more encouraged. And thank you everyone for your wonderful contributions that you always do in this space. Thank you and God bless.
Thank you very much for that, David. And one of the things that really stood out to me about what you just said, everything you shared, was the description of your leadership decisions or the decisions made by your country leaders. When there are things going on that we may feel should be different, could be different, there's a tendency for people to have a hostile approach in the way they describe it. And I love that you just simply said that there are some decisions that your leaders have made that could be different. You didn't go all into they're doing a terrible job and this is wrong, this is bad, this is terrible, which a lot of people have a tendency to do. So I wanted to commend you for that and point that out to you. And that says a lot about your character. And when I could imagine you as a leader, to me, that speaks volumes about the way you might lead people in your organization as the leader, to be mindful enough not to have negative things to say about your leadership, even if you probably could. So I wanted to point that out. And when it comes to the different leadership styles that you may find yourself encountering, especially in the same environment, there's this thing where we pick our battles, and it doesn't have to be a battle. And there are times that it isn't about winning. And I find myself in many occasions where if something someone is saying or doing is reasonable, it doesn't cause any harm, then I'm okay taking the back seat. And let's see what your idea does. Let's see how using your approach works in this situation. I may share my perspective, but then I don't fight to make it my way as though their way may be wrong, even though it may be different. And I think it's important for us to really be mindful of that. You know, do we really want to go down that path of trying to force someone to see it our way? And it's situational. We have to really understand the circumstances, the people that are involved. All of that plays a factor. So that's a hypothetical, even though you were kind of sharing a thought, not necessarily asking me to respond to that. But since it did come across with a layer of question in there, there may have been some other people who were curious. So I just wanted to say that you have to be mindful of who the players are, who's involved. And again, as we said earlier, as one of the potential steps to maximize the leader in you is to see the big picture, get beyond the emotions and surface level thinking and decision making, and think about who's affected and how are they affected. And this could simply be because you decide to dispute another leader's style of leading in front of other people, or your challenging them could cause them to become more hostile to their team or other people in the organization, because now they have to flex their strength because they have a relationship that you didn't realize they had, that will give them the ability to now supersede anything you thought you wanted to do, even if they may have given it an opportunity had you approached it the right way. So again, the big picture thinking, we've got to see beyond what's right in front of us and understand what could potentially happen as a result of it. Think about the contingencies, the things that could go wrong, those risks that I mentioned. We have to be mindful of that. So again, thank you, David. So let's see it. Ingrid, did you remember? You remember?
Yes, I did. I
Okay.
wanted to first say, I wanted to thank Roseanne, Cheryl, and just a couple of listeners that were in the listening anonymously that are in the space that I invited today. So I just wanted to recognize them and tell them to thank you. And oh, and also Reggie came back to say thank you for joining us again. Thanks.
Absolutely. And I thank you as well for coming back and joining. And thank you, Ingrid, as well, for continuing to do that and share what we're doing with people. And I'm going to do this really quickly. I'm going to see if I can get some participation on this. I have created a tweet because I've been thinking about, for people that do what Mama B does, that do what Shari does and Ingrid, that are really excited about what the space does, and they're sharing it with people. They're engaging in the comments, in the trouble with people. And I was thinking those could either be ambassadors for the space, community ambassadors, or community connectors. And I'm curious what some of your thoughts may be about that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to post a poll here. I'm going to post it, and then I want to see what you all think about that. Community ambassadors or community connectors. And there could be an option that, let's see, both someone. I'm double checking something really quickly just to make sure. I'm double checking. Yeah, well, I realized I made a typo on this survey. I put both someone. That's supposed to be both somehow. But I'm going to see, I'm a recovering perfectionist, everyone. As much as that bothers me, that absolutely bugs me. But I get to explain it to you all live so you know what it's supposed to be. I'm pinning it to the top of the space. And then if you also go to the profile, my profile, you could see it. So I would love to get some thoughts on that just to see which of those terms you all like, community ambassador or community connector. I could see potentially using them both, but I just want to see what you all's thoughts are on that. And you don't have to do it at this very second, but I wanted to put it out there so we could be thinking about that. So with that said, I think that's all the hands that we had. And I appreciate everyone for coming up and being a part of what we're doing here in the space. It's always great to hear all of your thoughts and feedback. So I want to see if Mama B, you have anything you want to share before we go? Any final thoughts?
Final thoughts. Oh my goodness, what a space, Tim. I'm telling you, I've been here for a year now. Last month was a year. And I don't know how you do it, but you these spaces, you keep outdoing yourself. And so thank you for what you do. And thank you for those that are supporting in the Buy Him a Coffee. And thank you for those who engaged in the chat today. And it just was a beautiful, you are changing our lives. And so as we leave these spaces, it's our pebble, the pebble that we drop in our little ponds just gets increases more and more. And so the ripple effect that happens because we come in here and we cross-pollinate, all the bees cross-pollinate, I shouldn't say that, it's the wrong room. And so I love everyone. I love this community that's building. And I know you said to leave the answer to your poll. I actually love net weavers. I'm just going to leave it there. The net weavers. I love that. You said that last week. I'm done.
Nice. So thank you, Mama B. I appreciate you being up here co-hosting with us today and being so engaged over this year that you have found us in the community. I absolutely appreciate it. And you're one of those people that God has sent to be a part and help facilitate this moving forward. And if nothing else, it keeps me encouraged and excited to know that it's making a difference and that it has an impact as well. Because everyone, as leaders, let me tell you this, as a leader, it can be lonely. They say it's lonely at the top, but as a leader, you are trying to project strength and courage. And I think Tomatum actually touched on this as well, but how you have to be mindful that you still have to have time for yourself. You have to look out for yourself, But I want you to think about those other leaders that you know, and they may need someone to pick them up and encourage them. Check on the people that you know that are leaders, that are hosting spaces, that are giving of themselves to other people. Many times when you become that person that people look to for guidance, for support, it's rare that anyone comes to you to see how you're doing. It's rare that people are checking on you as the leader to make sure that you're okay. So I encourage you as leaders to think about those other leaders you know and reach out to them. Make sure they're doing okay. Show them some love that, hey, just checking on you, make sure you're okay. Everything good. You know, are you taking care of yourself? Because leaders need that as well. Even though most times people are expecting to get it from the leader also needs it. And it's rare that someone thinks about them on that level. So I just want to encourage everyone to keep that in mind and to begin doing that if you haven't already, because one day you're going to need someone to check on you. Lawan, any final thoughts or comments you want to share with us today?
I bet she's talking. Lawan.
She is. I saw, let's see. Well, it looks like it's now. Can you still hear her, Lazolia?
Nope. Silence.
Okay, let's. Let me try this because I didn't say anything because I saw a couple of emojis go up, so I figured she was speaking. I was just going to wait it out and tell her I couldn't hear her, but
She has a problem with connection. I see connecting over under her name.
Yes.
And she has connection problems.
Okay. It looks like it isn't cooperating now. Well, Lawan, I will say I appreciate you and thank you for co-hosting with us today and being a part of what we're doing in this space because let's see, there she is. Lawan?
Did you hear me? Yes.
Yes,
Did you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Sorry, I was kicked out. I don't know why. Yeah, thank you, team, for organizing this space every week. And I always learn new things in your space and see the number of the participants grow every week. So this is amazing, and this is the reward for you, I think. And I I just had a quote this morning, and I think that should be you. You belong to where your heart feel right. So I think all the participants here is because they feel right. So they are here and support you, and because you also give support and help to the others. And I'm sure that lots of us grow every week with you. And thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you, Lawan. I really appreciate that. And again, appreciate your presence, Mama B's, everyone's presence, because it is valuable. It's important, and I don't take it for granted. So I want to say thank you to Mr. Hamoud, Dave, that's in the Space Hero X community. Brenda came up as a speaker. Made Coins, Lazolia, Ingrid, Jackie, all of you came up as speakers. Thank you for sharing what you did. Rookie, Shari, AI, or Abiola, Brock, who came up, Creative Side, Ethos, Roseanne. We've got Joanne, thank you. And yes, the little things matter, absolutely. Fibonacci Man, Whitney, Kuyik, and I hope I pronounced that correctly. And if I didn't, I hope that one day soon you'll tell me how to pronounce it correctly, Kuyik. Then we've got One Big Gay Bear. We also have Dr. Dokotela, Tuminho, Shelly, Will I Am. We've got Olabode. We have Girl Hurts, Ethos Ambassador, Davis, Artmake, Blue, Conk Coin, Shailendra, Jade. We've got Polo Kwan, Jules Aman Adilapo. Then we have Stella Galapos, VGX Heroes. We've got Zahar Radin, Naomi Damilola. And then, yes, and Damilola. So I want to say thank you to all of you. And I appreciate you all bearing with me as I do that, because I like to try to make that assertive effort to make sure that everyone that is in the space knows that they're appreciated, because I get to thank the speakers directly after they speak. But the listeners, I don't get to do that unless you're up here. So I like to take a couple moments to acknowledge your names when I see you in the space, because I value your presence here with us. And Ella as well. Sum Tuchukwu. Yes, Sum Tuchukwu. And then Victor, I know that you were requesting Victor and one other person that was requesting earlier, but we were no longer taking new requests because we were trying to wrap up and close out with the speakers we had. But Monique, I see that you made it in as well. Good to see you also. And everyone, I just want to encourage you. Keep striving, keep practicing, keep believing in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, you can't expect anyone else to. And it begins with you. And remember, it's the little successes that allow our confidence to grow. So write down the successes that you had, big or small, and use it as a reminder when you have those days where you need to figure out, what am I doing? Why am I here? Am I capable of getting this done? And I want you to remember that, yes, you can. And there are times we may have to learn a little bit more. We may have to increase our skill set, but you can. But when we think about the steps that we mentioned today for maximizing the leader in you, is to identify your follower profile, educate yourself, determine your capacity, see the big picture, benchmark your development, and add your special sauce to the mix. And when you do that, it's going to allow you to shine. And people will come looking for you to add value in their environments because they know what you bring to the table. You don't have to go looking for things all the time. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't pursue opportunities, but when you position yourself this way, opportunities will begin to find you. And I say that from experience. It happens and it works. But be patient, give yourself some grace, and make sure you do the work. Even when it doesn't feel like it's working, keep doing the work. And when you have opportunities like this to practice, environments where people are going to encourage you and give you some of the guidance that may be helpful for you to move forward, take advantage of it. And don't delay saying, well, I have time, I'll do it later. Because I know there are some people that do it in here at times, where you may come in and you listen for an hour and a half, and you say, well, I'll speak in a little while. And then we get to the end and we don't have time to bring everyone else up. So don't miss opportunities like that. Do it when you feel it. Don't wait until you feel like you have it all figured out, because a lot of times it's too late. And I remember hearing someone, and this is the last thing I'll say about this, was a person doing a business podcast made the comment that if you're a business owner or you're someone that's developing a product, if you don't feel embarrassed by the product that you put out the first time, you took too long. And that may not make a lot of sense when you hear it. But when you think about it, Apple, Android, or all these other companies, they create products and they sell products that are good enough. That's why we have all of these updates and patches and fixes and all these bug updates, because they don't have a perfect product. They made it good enough to be able to be useful for you, and then they continue to refine it. So I say that for all of you, just be good enough to go forward and believe in yourself that you have the goods and that you continue growing along the way, because you have what you need. You have what it takes. You're just in the process of refining it now and learning how to maximize it. So I look forward to hearing more stories and more experiences and successes from all of you as the days, weeks, and months go forward. So I really appreciate you all and hope that you stay safe out there. Thank you for joining today's episode of the Confident Speaking Space. Your contributions as a speaker and your presence listening live or on the replay are greatly appreciated. If you enjoyed the experience and want to show some love, feel free to visit the link on my profile and buy me a coffee. Until we meet again, I pray you have a fantastic week ahead. So be blessed, be safe, and be intentional about becoming a more confident and effective communicator. Let's get it. We gonna go.